Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chaos Child. We recently found out that Minami Sawa, Kurusa's childhood friend, and the person we saw in the labs is actually the wild pyromaniac that tried to murder us the other day. A little bit awkward. We haven't told her yet, and I don't know if we're even going to. But we found out the truth now. We know the identity of at least one of the people who's going around making a mess of the town. We don't know if she's the actual killer, but she definitely tried to burn us to death, or was seriously considering it. Alright. Really? Oh, it's Yui. We're back at the Alba dorm as we're trying to go with the old adage of safety and numbers. Right, the fact that half the people here probably couldn't deal with a rampaging pyromaniac. Probably having dinner with us. Just leave it to me. Isn't it great, Yuki? Uki, you can stay here, he says. Right, Uki is Yui's childhood friend. She is the girl we encountered in the underground hospital, who is tending to the patients that are now gone. After we got back, Kurusa and I were met with some good news. Yes, thank you very much, sir. Alright. I told you don't need to be so polite. Shinjo had come here in the afternoon, and that's what he'd worked out. There were several reasons. First, Frisia couldn't keep her anymore, but due to her power, it would be difficult to give her to a normal orphanage. Second, Shinjo was taking a different route than the other officers on this case, so he said he couldn't give her to a police facility. And the most important thing of all was that this was what Uki wanted. Having her old friend Yui here seemed to be helping her a lot. Yeah, I feel like that should be the most obvious thing, right? You're like, okay, wait. We had her for like 3 days, got nothing out of her. She was like a fucking stone wall. Probably one of the best strats, honestly, when dealing with the police. Especially in Japan, as I believe the police in Japan have you for 3 days. Can have you for 3 days without charging you, unlike normal, so... They can just hold you for 3 days and talk at you, waiting for you to break. Probably want to, probably helps speak as trouble. I know if you don't want to talk to the police anyway. Just a bad idea. So, good on Uki for being resilient and, firm but uncooperative with the police. Alright. Having her old friend Yui here was helping her a lot. Yeah, so we're actually getting stuff out of her here, so it's probably the best place for her to be. It's great, Uki. Alright. Yes. She blushed a little and nodded. Thanks, Dad. Alright, Nana.
Nani? むしろこっちがありがたいってもんだ。誰かさんと違ってとっても気が利くし。
Don't worry, I'm glad to have her. Unlike a certain someone, she's very nice and does a good job with the chores.
もう少し元気になったら、委員の手伝いもしてくれるって言うし、大助かりだ。
Once she's feeling a little better, she says she's gonna help around the clinic too. It's win-win-win.
父さん?
Dad?
それは私に対する当てつけと考えていいの?
Can I assume that last one was directed at me? Yui pouted, but Dad laughed and ran his hands through her hair.
部屋はどこにしようかしら。今空いてるところってないわよね。
Where should we put her? We don't have any spare rooms right now.
私と一緒でいいでしょ? ね?
You want to sleep with me, right?
そういうわけにはいかないわ。ユウトはどうするの?
What about Yuto?
別にいいじゃない。平気よね、ユウ?
Who cares? Wow, nice. It's like, oh, you should sleep in the same room as me. What about Yuto? Who gives a shit about Yuto? You don't mind, do you? Do you? I mean, it's in English, it's kind of awkward, like, do you? Wasn't that in Japanese, but it's kind of funny. Ow, I was holding a needle in my hand. I actually just stabbed myself. And not like just a little poke, like, broke the skin, all that. It's annoying. Probably shouldn't have been playing with a needle, though. See, he does mind, so no. Alright, here's
だ
where
った
she
ら
bludgeons him.
僕の部屋は
Wow. Not even just a hole, an actual, like, slice. Damn. The fuck do you get a slice with a needle? Ah, well. What about my room?
嘘タクルにってばやらしい
No way, Taku, you're such a pervert.
いくらなんでもそれはまずいだろう。
There's no way that's a good idea.
違うよ、そういう意味じゃ
No,
な
that's
くて
not what I mean. Once this case is settled, I intend to leave. So I can sleep in the dining room or something, and she can have my room. Cruz seemed to know exactly what I was thinking and poked me in the stomach.
なんだよ
What?
ダメですからねまた勝手に出て行ったら
I'm not letting you just leave again. Yeah, I know, I'm being held against my will. You're doing everything in your power to keep me here.
ここにいるのは事件が終わるまでって約束したろ
The deal was, I'd only stay here until the case is resolved, right?
そうだけどあなたがだらしないからよ一人暮らしなんて気が気じゃないって何度も
Yeah,
言
I
ってる
think
でしょ
Nono... It's hard to tell if Nono secretly likes us, or she's just like an incredibly controlling person who wants to stop us from doing anything we don't like. You are welcome to go with the philosophy, or like the theory that she has a secret crush on you but can't express it correctly. That seems just as probable. If she likes you, she might just be expressing it as being like incredibly overprotective and overbearing, so it's true. I've told you a bunch of times, I don't think you've got any business living on your own. Dad suddenly slapped his hands together. Thank you for disrupting that potentially volatile conversation.
一つ部屋が空いてるじゃないか。
I know, we do have a spare room.
え
We have a spare room, but when no one knows about it,
ほら、今は使ってないが、以前ナースの宿直室だった。
you know, we had that room we used to use when the nurses did overnight shifts.
えあそこって物置じゃない今
We just had a storage room now, though.
でもな、日当たりもいいし、物置にしとくのはもったいないと思ってたんだ。
My room gets a lot of sun. I've been thinking it's a waste to use it as a closet. Yeah, that's why I moved to a smaller apartment.
そう思ってたのな
Using an
らもっと早く片付けて欲しかったわ
Using an entire bedroom as a storage closet is like the most wasteful thing ever. Should have cleaned it out earlier. Cruz sighed and turned to me.
うん明日部屋の片付けをしましょう手伝ってね
I'll clean it out tomorrow. Help me with it, okay?
はーい
Okay. Yuto answered cheerfully with a yes.
でも今夜はどうしようかゆいとウキちゃんが一緒でゆうとは父さんとでいい
What do we do for tonight? Yui can stay with Yuki and Yuto can stay with Dad? Does that work?
うん
Yeah.
よし決まり
Alright,
布団
I'll
用
get
意し
the
なきゃ
food ready.
手伝ってくれる
You, can you help me?
うん
Okay.
私自分でやりますから
I can do it myself, man. You're a guest. You don't do any work. Understand that, Uki?
大丈夫ウキちゃんは何がどこにあるのかまだ分かってないでしょ
It's fine.
あ
You don't know
と
where anything
敬
is.
語はいい
Right?
ってばは
Stop being so polite.
い
Yes, ma'am. Stop being so polite. Yes, ma'am.
だからそこははいじゃなくてうんうんね言ってみて
Stop saying ma'am. Just talk normally. Try it, okay?
うんでも私も手伝うので
Okay, I'm gonna help too, though.
そうそれじゃあ一緒に
Yeah, let's both.
あ、ちょっと待ってくれ
Wait a second. I stopped Uki before Yui could take her out of the room.
どうしたのタクルに
What's wrong, Taku?
山添新庄さんから話は聞いたけどもう一回だけ確認させてくれないかな
Yamazoe, I talked to Shinjo, but I wanted to ask you one more
は
time.
い
I'm
僕
sorry?
のスマホ今どこにあるか本当に知らないんだよな
You really don't know where my smartphone is, do you?
スマホ
smartphone?
ほら、こういうのだよ。
You know, like one of these. Yui took out her phone and showed it to Uki. When she saw it, she seemed to remember at long last. Yeah.
ああ、新庄さんが見せてくれた電話機のことですね。あれは、落ちていた場所に戻したんです。
Oh, the smartphone. Oh, the phone that Shincho showed me. I put it back where it fell.
その後誰が拾ったのかわからないか？
You know who picked it up?
はい、すみません。
I don't. I'm sorry.
そっか。
I see. It was just as Shinjo had said after all. So, who had my phone and the picture inside it? A picture that Karus also has, so it's not the one of its own, not the only of its kind. And how have they been able to call Ito's phone? Not a one of a kind. Karus has it. You can just borrow her
タ
copy.
クルに、も
Because
ういい
it's a data
話
file
は終わ
copy.
り
Kiru, can we go now? Are you done talking?
ああ、
Yeah.
それじゃあ寝る準備しに行こう。父さん、とりあえず病院の使ってもいいよね。
Get ready for bed then. Dad, I can use the stuff from the clinic, right?
おう。この前干してからまだ使ってないやつがあったろ。あれ使え。あとシーツも。
Yeah, we just hung them up to dry, and there should be one we haven't used yet. Also, there's sheets.
わかってるって。ああ、そうだ。ねえ、うきちゃん、お風呂も一緒に入らない？
Oh, I know that. Oh, right. Yuki, do you want to take a bath together? Do a bath together. Alright.
はい。
Spicing things up so early into your relationship? Alright. Yes, ma'am.
だからはいじゃないでしょ。
I told you to stop that.
うん。
Okay.
言っとくけど、ユウは別だからね。
You're not allowed to take one with this, okay? You is officially banned from the bathroom. Alright.
わかってるよ。
I'm surprised they did a new image for this, but okay. I know that.
ユイのやつ随分とはしゃいでるな。
Yui's really excited. How does Yui look older than Uki? They're both the same height here, sitting at the table.
そうね。でもわかるわ。やっぱりお友達っていいものよ。
But I can understand. It's nice having friends. Yui took Uki and Yudo out of the room.
クルスは大丈夫か？
Are you okay, Cruz?
どうして？
Why? Why?
ほら、食費とか
You
いろ
know,
んな
food
世話とか
expenses
一
and
人分
stuff.
増えるだろ
We。got another person to deal with. I'm here too, and you have to pay for my food.
世話は平気よ。ウキちゃんはいろいろ手伝ってくれるって言うし、むしろ楽になるくらい。食費とかはまあ、父さんが頑張ってくれれば。
We'll be fine. Uki says she's gonna help around the house, so it'll actually get easier. And as for food expenses, as long as Dad works hard.
おお、任せとけ。ちょっとトイレに。
Yeah, leave it to me. I'm gonna hit the bathroom. Bye. Dad quickly ran out of the room to escape Carusa's gaze.
まあ。
That man. She chuckled, but there was kindness in her laugh. How is Miyashiro? Completely awakened. Shall I do it? More. More? Yes, more. More suffering. More regrets. The pain of the abandonment for that. More. As you wish. Things are getting intense. This is going interestingly. So I thought they were planning on the last time we saw those text messages on that phone, they were planning on killing him, and now they're like going for suffering. Sunday. Arimura, Uki, and I got a full medical check at a hospital run by a friend of my dad's, just like Shinjo had suggested. And now the numbers, brainwaves, and electrocardiographs, MRIs, and other images were lined up on Dad's computer screen. Of course, as a complete amateur, I had no idea what any of it meant. Kunasato was talking to my dad as if she were a colleague, rather than addressing him as the older man he was.
おかしなものって何ですか？ただでさえこんな検査されてムカついてるのに。しかも今日って友達と約束あったんですよ。
What do you mean you found something strange? I'm already pissed off I have to do this exam. I'm supposed to meet some friends today. Like, you could have brain cancer. What do you mean you found something strange? I'm fucking busy today. You could have cancer. Ah, busy.
女子同士って一度断ると後々面倒なんですけど。
When a girl blows off another girl, it makes things complicated down the road. I see. Armora put her hands on her hips and complained. Uki, for her part, looked scared. She was hiding behind me and trying to stay out of Kunisada's sight.
素人は黙ってろ。邪魔だ。
You don't know anything and you need to shut up. You're getting in the way. Thanks, Kunisada.
冗談じゃないですよ。ここでちゃんと言っとかないと、この先どんな実験をされるか分かったもんじゃありませんからね。
No way. If I don't make things clear now, who knows what you're going to do in the future? Kunisada is pretty untrustworthy.
そういうことを言うど素人が一番
Amateurs
腹が
like
立
you
つ。
piss me off the most. Yeah, but we're more successful than you. Are you? She's probably just jealous that we're better than her. All right.
なあ有村さん、久野里さん、そうやって一日中喧嘩してて疲れないか？
Armor, Kunisada, don't you ever get tired of fighting all day? Shinjo sighed, like he always did. Armor's eyes narrowed as she glared at Kunisada, who just laughed.
で、佐久間先生、結果はどうでした？
So, Dr. Sakuma, what did you find?
分かったことがあれば、なるべく早くお願いします。できればこの後買い物に行きたいんで。
If you found something, tell me as fast as you can. I want to go shopping after this.
ああ、そうするよ。まず、ウキちゃんの成長阻害因子に関してだが、これはすぐにはわからん。
Alright, I will.
染色体からホルモンの分泌異常まで
Okay.
詳しい結果が出るには時間がかかる。
First, as for why Uki stopped growing, we won't know for a while. It'll take time to get results back on her chromosomal and hormone tests. Okay, that's fair. You have to actually get answers before you can provide them.
で、タクルと有村さんに関しては体はどこにも異常なし。どの臓器もすこぶる健康だ。
A Dragon Ball Z visual novel would be hilarious. I could see it now. You just see an entire page of ah, and then you click again, and it's just the same thing. And it's like 10 pages of people just screaming to charge up. And you're like, okay, I'm not reading this aloud. Guys, is anything happening? Dragon Ball Z visual novel would be funny. 80% screaming. Yeah, that'd be an interesting visual novel. As for you two, you're in fine health. No issues with any of your internal organs.
ただし、タクルは食事のバランスが明らかに悪い。特定の栄養素が欠乏してる。これはノノによーく言っとくからな。
But Takuru is showing clear signs of it eating an unbalanced diet. Certain nutrients are clearly missing. I'll make this very clear to Nono. Better than a Pokemon. It would be better than a Pokemon visual novel. 80% Pokemon noises. That would probably be. That would drive anyone up the wall, even if they liked Pokemon. At least with the dramatic screaming, you can be moderately interested in the pitch. Pokemon noises are always basically the same sound, repeated. Alright, so Takuru is unfortunately. Is this secretly a visual novel about the effects of eating consuming an unhealthy amount of Mountain Dew? We've had like 300 plugs for Mountain Dew. Our character is clearly addicted to Mountain Dew, Mountain Dew. And every time he wants a drink, he just thinks, I need more Mountain Dew. And now we're like getting to the unbalanced diet stage, where we find out his schizophrenia is actually caused by the Mountain Dew. None of this psychic stuff is real. It's all in his head due to Mountain Dew consumption. The plot's gonna... That would be quite the twist. All the crazy shit that happens is in his head due to, like, malnutrition. Because they did, like, a bunch of brain scans, right?
有村さんは少し甘いものや油を控えた方がいい。 ジャンクフードもやめること。このままだと確実にメタボへ一直線だ。
And you, Arimura, you need to cut back on the sweets and fatty foods. No junk food. You're on a straight path toward obesity now.
げ
Ooh, that's an ooh.
体のことは別にいい。脳はどうなんだ？
Half about their bodies. What about their brains?
ああ、これが MRI だが。
Well, this is an MRI scan. Dad clicked on one of the images which displayed images of a human brain. Arimura must have found the sight of her own brain creepy because she looked away. Uki didn't seem to know what it was and stared out from behind me, confused. Kunosato clicked through the images slowly, checking each part in turn, and finally tossed it away.
3人ともネガティブだな。
All three of them are negative, aren't they?
ああ、ネガティブだよ。
Yep, this MRI shows negative.
ネガティブ？嘘、頭悪いってことですか？
Negative? Does that mean I'm stupid? All three of these negative for what we're looking, the bad things we're looking for? Does that mean I'm stupid? Alright, I've never heard someone say that. So do I have cancer? Negative. Does that mean I'm stupid? Aurora staggered back as if she'd been given some kind of shocking news.
確かに頭が悪いな。
Yes, you're
バカすぎる。
stupid. Extremely stupid.
そんな。
No way.
いやいや、そういう意味じゃないから。
That's not what the word means. Dad chuckled a little.
久野里君、君は聞いていた以上に人が悪いね。
Kunosato, you're an even meaner person than I'd been told.
ネガティブの意味もわからないようなやつはバカと断じていいはずだが。
If she doesn't know what negative means, I'd say calling her stupid is fair.
こいつは新庄
That's
君の
it's
気
true,
苦労
but
もわ
it
かる
sounds
ね。
so savage. I see what Shinjo's going through. Oh,
でしょ？
right. Shinjo gave Dad a tired smile.
安心していい、有村さん。医学の世界ではネガティブは陰性って意味だ。つまりおかしな症状は出ていないということだよ。
Don't worry, negative in the medical sense is a good thing. It means there's no unusual symptoms.
君の脳は至って正常ってことさ。
Your brain is completely normal.
なんだ、びっくりした。
You scared me. Aurora sighed with relief, for once acting like a girl her age. Lately, I finally understood that this was who she really was. She once told me before she always was trying to be the person the people around her wanted her to be.
ギガロマニアックスと脳の肥大化の間には結局因果関係はないのか。
There's no relationship between gigalomaniac power and the enlargement seen in the brain?
少なくともタクルたちに異常は見られない。君の言うそのギガロなんとかとの関連性は自分で判断してくれ。
I can tell you at least I'm not seeing any issues with them on these charts. Decide for yourself what that means in relation to the gigolo what's-its you're talking about. Kunosato frowned and thought.
でも一連の殺人事件の犠牲者には特徴があった。被害者の脳に同一の症状が見受けられた。
There was a commonality between all the murder victims. Their brains all showed the same symptoms. Kunosato showed Dad her tablet computer. It had several brains on it that weren't ours. Arimura looked away again.
これを見ればわかるだろう。どれも大脳新皮質が肥大化している。
You can tell from looking at this, right? The cerebral neocortex is swollen.
ああ、言われれば確かに。
You're right, now that you mention it. Dad whispered as he looked at the tablet.
肥大化？大きくなってるってこと？
It's bigger?
まあな。
That's right.
およそ 1.2 倍といったところか。
About 1.2 times the
そ
normal
こで今
size.
回お前たちの脳に同様の症状があるのか見せてもらったわけだが、
We want to see if your brains show the same
結
symptoms.
果はネガティブだった。お前たちの脳は通常の人間と変わらない。
But the result is negative. Your brains are no different than a normal person's. Well, that's good, isn't it? We're not about to die or go crazy. It means something else might have killed them.
つまり 被害者にだけ脳を肥大化させる特別な何かが起こった。
Which means something happened to the victims causing their brains to swell.
さあ、それはどうだろうな。この程度なら日常生活に支障のあるレベルじゃない。知性や知能にも影響はないだろう。本人も気づいてなかったんじゃないか？
This isn't large enough to cause a problem with their daily lives. It wouldn't affect them mentally either. They probably didn't even notice it.
つまりもともとそういう脳をしていたのか、死の間際に異常をきたしたのか、あるいは脳に異常をきたしたせいで死んだのか、
In other
断定は
words,
できないということですか。
their brains were like this originally, or this happened to them when they died. Perhaps this is what killed them. We don't really know. Dad looked at the tablet and nodded. Yeah, we don't know if that's a symptom of their death. I assume it's saying, like, it could have been the cause of their death. Maybe, if it randomly just instantly happened.
そういうことだね。
That's right. You don't really know if that's a problem.
いずれにせよ考察のためのデータが乏しすぎる。
Either way, we have no
せ
data.
めてあと
Not enough to
2、3
make a
人
decision.
被害者が出てくれればいいんだが。
If only we had 2 or 3 more victims. Any volunteers? Any volunteers?
だからそういうことを口にするのはやめろ。
Dude, stop saying that. Stop wishing for more victims. Shinjo treated it like a joke, but her face was completely serious and terrifying. That's fair.
っていうか、つまり今日の私たちの検査はあんまり意味がなかったってことですか？
Does that mean there wasn't any
冗
real
談じゃ
point
ない
to
ん
the
ですけど。
exam? You're fucking kidding me.
いや、そんなことはないさ。有村さんがすこぶる健康で脳にも異常なしって分かっただけでも収穫じゃないか。
Not quite true. Knowing you're healthy and your brain's fine is a blessing, right? I mean, I think it was. Shinjo tried his best to make her feel better, but
私に向かって心にもないこと言っても無駄ですよ。
don't say things to me that you don't mean.
これだから有村は厄介だって思いましたね、今。
You were thinking, this is why Armor is such a hassle now, weren't you?
そんなことあるわけ。
That's not true. Oops. Shinjo gave up and lowered his head.
すまん。
Sorry.
ああ、せっかくの休みが潰れちゃった。私そろそろ行きますね。
What a waste of a day off. I'm leaving. Oof. Caught him in a lie. Ayamura grabbed her bag and tried to leave.
ちょっと待て。
Oh, Kunosada's holding us up. Wait a minute. She turned around at the door when Kunosada stopped her.
何ですか？
What is it?
最後にもう一つ手伝え。お前の能力が必要だ。
Help me with one more thing. I need your power. Oh, great. Here we go.
嫌です。
No.
久野里さん、物には頼み方というものが。
I told you, Kunosada, there's a right way to ask for things. It's like he's trying to teach a 12-year-old or like a 6-year-old how to ask for something. It's like, you say please. Come on, Kunosada, say please. Kunosada ignored him. Alright.
山添由紀の能力について
I wanna ask
ちゃんと聞いておきたい。
I wanna ask Uki Yamazoe about her powers. Well, that's fair. What? Uki shivered and hid behind me. Dad saw her and frowned in a way only I could notice. Then he said, I'm gonna hit the restroom, and walked past Arimura out the door. On the way out, he whispered to me,
俺は向こうへ行ってるわ。超能力なんて話は医者の領分じゃねえ。聞いてるだけでこっちの頭が変になりそうだ。
I'm gonna leave for a bit. Psychic powers are outside my field of study as a doctor. Just listening makes me think I'm gonna go a bit crazy. After Dad left, Kunosada looked at the tiny little Uki with cold eyes.
山添、お前自身にもよく分かっていないようだが、とりあえず知っていることだけでいい。話してみろ。
Yamazoe, you don't seem to know the details yourself. Just tell me what you know. Her harsh tone only scared Uki more, but I looked at her and nodded, and she tried her best to work up her courage.
私はその
I have the
誰
power
か
to
が
make
心に描いたものを
someone
形にしてしまうみたいなんです。
I have the power to make what someone imagines into reality, I guess.
誰かが心に描いたもの？
What someone imagines?
それは誰の思考でもか。
Can that be anyone?
私の近くにいる人です。
Anyone near me?
形というのはつまり実体化させるということだな。
Can it be
例え
anything?
ば
For instance,
ここにあるコインを私が思い描いたら
if I imagine this coin, Kunasato took out a penny and showed it to Uki.
そういうものの場合もありますし、そうじゃないものもあります。
It can be things like that, or no.
そうじゃないものっていうと
Yeah, what do you mean by not?
何と言えばいいのかわからないですが、例えば状態を
I don't know how to describe it. Situations, maybe?
状態
What do you mean by situations?
綺麗になりたいとか、こうなってほしいとか。
Like, they want to be pretty or they want something to happen.
それが現実になるっていうのか？
And it becomes real?
現実なんでしょうか。
It's...
私にもよくわかり
I
ませ
don't
ん。
really know.
それは今やろうと思ってできるものなのか？
Could you do it now if you wanted to?
いえ、意識してできるわけではないです。
I can't do it whenever I want to.
どうだ有村。
Well, Arimura? Kunasato looked over, but Arimura just turned her head.
はいはい、その子嘘はついてませんよ。全部本当みたいです。
Right, she's not lying. It's all true, I guess. She could be forcing this on you, so she
無意
thinks it's
識の
true.
うちに他人の思考や願望をリアルブートしてしまうということだな。
So she subconsciously real boots the wishes and thoughts of other people.
なるほど。それならこの前フリージアから姿を消した方法も説明がつく。
I see. That explains how she
百瀬さんの
disappeared
思
from
考
Frisia.
がリアルブートされてしまったわけか。
What Mose was thinking about got real booted. Though her power could only real boot other people's thoughts and wishes, not her own. Interesting. It was like her own life. She had no hopes of her own and only lived her life for the sake of others. In a way, it's a very sad power. Yeah, you can answer other people's wishes. You're like a genie. You can answer other people's wishes and fulfill them, but you can't do anything for yourself.
好むと好まざるとにかかわらず能力を発動してしまうという点ではそこにいる有村ひなえと同じ部類だ。能力自体は大したものだが不便なものだ。
It happens whether you wanted to or not. Then it's similar to Hine Arimura's power. The power is impressive, but inconvenient. Yeah, super awkward. You need to everyone needs to watch what they think around you, or it might randomly come true.
不便で悪かったですね。
Sorry, I'm inconvenient.
でそれはいつからだ山添。
When did this start, Yamazoe?
いつからそんな能力を身につけたのかと聞いている。
When did you get this
地下
power
施
is
設
what
で
I'm
の実
asking.
験中にか。
Was it during the experiments in the underground facility?
いえ、私は劣等生でしたから。
No, I was a bad student.
ならいつだ。
Then when?
多分渋谷の地震の後からだと。
It was after the quake. Interesting.
やはりな。
Everyone's getting their powers as a result of the quake and not the quake causing them?
やはりってのは
Why is that? Everyone else got their powers after the quake, right?
こいつらの話とあとあんたが調べた被害者たちの過去それらを総合して考えると能力に目覚めたと思われる時期
The
が
quake causes psychic powers because it's the first power, maybe? I looked into what they said and what you found about the victim's past. When you put it together, they all awoke to their powers at almost the exact same time.
あの地震が原因だってのか。
The earthquake was the cause? Exactly.
まだ仮説だがな。
Still just a theory, unfortunately. Kunasato started to type something into her tablet.
待ってくれ。地震なんてどこでも頻繁に起こってる。その度にギガロマニアックスが生まれてたらキリがないじゃないか。
Earthquakes happen all the time. If everyone created a gigalomaniac, we'd be overflowing at them. Which means this earthquake was special.
いや私が言っているのは地震そのものじゃない。
I'm not talking about the earthquake itself. Oh?
あ
You're just using it as a timing reference, I guess. That's fair.
あの時不可思議な現象が渋谷で観測されたのを覚えているか。
You recall something strange was observed in Shibuya during the quake, right? Something strange. I remember, actually.
もしかしてあの白い光ですか
You mean that white light? Kunasato nodded. That white light. The white light that covered us right after the Shibuya earthquake. There were a lot of rumors about it, including one that said it was plasma caused by the earthquake, but I'd heard they still didn't really know what it was.
驚いたな。久里さんが陰謀論者だとは思わなかった。
I'm surprised I didn't take you for a conspiracy theorist, Kunasato.
陰謀論ってまさか一時期流行したあれですか
What a conspiracy theory? You mean the one from after the quake? I was talking about a certain rumor that had gone around right after the quake. The rumor said the quake was caused by a secret tectonic weapon experiment, a joint project between the US and Japan that might have gone awry. The mysterious light was caused by this explosion, and that Chaos Child Syndrome, which was believed to be a form of PTSD, might actually be caused by the materials used in the weapon. The rumor was popular on 2chan for a while, but people quickly got bored by it. By the time I'd woken up from my coma, no one was talking about it anymore. No, it would be more accurate to say that instead of people getting bored, someone had done their best to erase all traces of it. That was quite the weapon. Damn, alright. At the time I'd found this strange and started looking into it outside the internet. Despite the large magnitude of the quake, there'd been no aftershocks afterward. All the damage had been concentrated in Shibuya, and the epicenter had been observed to be far too shallow. Despite all this, not a single scientist was speaking up. Whenever someone erased even the smallest doubt, they were quickly shouted down as an idiot conspiracy theorist.
ただの陰謀論だったらいいのだがな。
I wish it was just a conspiracy theory.
というと
Oh, what do you mean?
すべての元凶はあの光自体にあるのではないかと私は考えている。
I think the light might have been the cause of everything.
その副次的なものに過ぎない。
The earthquake was just a side effect of it.
本気で言ってるのか
Are you serious?
じゃあ君は光の正体を何だと思ってるんだ
What do you think the light was?
それが分かれば苦労しない。ただ何者かの手によって引き起こされたものだと私は確
My
信
life
してい
would be
る。
a lot easier, but I'm sure someone caused it.
すいません。そういうのは後でやってください。私は早く事件を解決してくれればそれでいいんで。
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you figure that out some other time? All I want is for you to solve the case, and soon. I saw that Shinjo and Kunasato were about to start arguing, and readjusted the tote bag on her arm.
私の仕事はもう終わりですよね。じゃあさようなら。宮代先輩たちもまた学校で。
I'm finished here, right? Then goodbye. See you at school. Most of you.
ああそれじゃあな
Yeah. Bye.
ウキもまたね。てかもっと元気出せよ。
See you around, Uki. And cheer up. He patted Uki lightly on the head and left the experimentation room. Uki softly whispered yes, ma'am, as she watched her go. After that, Kunasato began to mumble to herself as she started to look at the data on Dad's PC. There was a different look in her eyes than any I'd seen before. To be honest, she looked a little crazy. Not like a mad scientist, it was as if she was concealing some dark obsession. I'd seen those eyes somewhere before. Where? What was it? Oh. I remembered and shivered.
このパイロキネシスト南沢千里かもしれないあの女の目にそっくりだ
The pyrokinetic, the girl who might be Senri Minamisawa, they look just like her eyes. They were the eyes of someone bent on revenge and consumed by hatred and rage. She's really obsessed with this case, isn't she? Taking it super personally for some reason. The Shibuya earthquake and the strange light, the relationship they had with their powers. I rolled around in my bed thinking about everything that had happened, and then I thought back to the crazy look in Kunosato's eyes. She looked just like the pyrokinetic.
復讐
Revenge, huh? Did Senri Minamisawa hate me for what I'd done that day? Did she still hate me even now?
そんなバカな子供の頃の話だぞいくらなんでもそんな昔のことで
It's crazy. I was a little kid. There's no way she'd still be mad about something that happened so long ago. I tried to say it out loud to convince myself. But that pyrokinetic wasn't behaving like a normal person. It was hard to think she was sane. She was a beast, an animal without a conscience, stalking the streets of Shibuya with bared fangs. At least, that's how she seemed to me. The terrifying words she had said when she saw me. She looked at me and said, I found you.
結局僕は知らないうちに自分の命をわざわざ危険にさらすような事件に首を突っ込んでしまってた。
Did I end up putting my life at risk and not even realize it? The more I thought about it, the more my blood began to run cold. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have just listened to Karus to begin with.
って何を弱気になってんだ。
Wait, why am I acting so wimpy? Because that's your, like, main character trait? I sat down on the bed. That's right, I had my power. Even if that woman was Senri Minamisawa and she was trying to kill me for revenge, I wouldn't just sit there and let her. But what if she attacked me when I was with Karus? What if things got so dangerous I couldn't protect my own life or Karus's without killing her? Could I kill Senri Minamisawa right in front of Karus? I almost leapt at the sudden noise. The sound was from my new smartphone. Damn, what a phone, what a ringtone. I'd finally gotten a new one before I went to the hospital today. I'd totally forgotten. I remembered how Ito had gotten a call from my old phone after I lost it and hesitated a little. I looked at the screen, trembling. Caller? Sarika Onoe.
なんだ、尾上か。
It's just Onoe. Thank God.
もしもし。
No weird knocking sounds, please. Hello? Oh, Taku, hey. Hey, Sarika, how's
ど
it
うした
going?
んだよ。
What's up?
もしかしてご機嫌斜め？今日の検査で何かあった？
Are you in a bad mood? Did something happen at your exam? No, I think it
そう
went
いうわ
okay.
けじゃないけど。
No, that's not it.
ダメだよ、ごまかしても。そういう声の時のタクはだいたい悩んでる時なんだから。
Can't fool me, okay? Whenever your voice is like that, you're worried about something. Evidently, it wasn't just Karus and Arimura who could tell when I was lying. Basically, everyone can.
何を悩んでたの？
That's kind of funny. The guy whose magic power is implanting delusions in people's minds can't lie to save his life. So, what is it? I wasn't sure if I should tell her, but it was Sarika I was talking to after all. I told her everything I'd been thinking about.
白い光？
A white light?
あの時、尾上も僕と一緒にいたよな。
I was
何
with
か
you
覚
then,
えてない
wasn't
か？
I? Do you remember?
それがね、私倒れて気絶しちゃってたから光とか見てないんだ。ほら、タクが病院まで運んでくれたでしょ？
I was out cold, so I didn't see it. Remember? You carried me to the hospital?
ああ、そういえばそうだったな。
Oh. Right. I can still remember how Sarika felt when I carried her on my back. Until then, I hadn't really treated her differently than any other boy, but at some point she had started to grow into a woman. When I carried her on my back, I was surprised that was what a girl felt like.
あの時はごめんね。ありがとう。
Sorry about making you do that. Thanks.
今さらなんだよ。僕とお前の仲だろ。
Yeah, why bring that up now? You know we're friends? Well, we've been talking about the earthquake. She was probably thinking about it.
幼なじみってやっぱりいいね。
It's nice to have an old friend, isn't it? Sarika sounded happy, but the tone of her voice quickly dropped.
あ、でも、のんちゃんの幼なじみのあの子は、のんちゃんやタクを悩ませてるんだよね。
But that
困ったね。
girl who's Non's old friend is causing you a lot of problems right now, isn't she?
お前も気をつけろよ。昔地下施設で南沢千里を目撃したのは僕だけじゃないんだからな。
Yeah, you be careful too. I wasn't the only one who saw Senri Misamisawa down there. Yeah, and she like busted up a couple cops, no problem.
大丈夫だよ。きっとタクが守ってくれるから。
You'll be fine, I'm sure you'll protect me.
Huh?
What?
あれ？もしかして守ってくれないの？
What? Are you not planning on protecting me?
いや、
No, it's not just,
そういう
it's
わけじゃ
just
ない。ただ、その。
I fell silent, but I could tell Sarika was nodding to herself on the other side of the phone.
ああ、そっか。それで迷ってるんだね。
That's why you're not sure what to do. And then, even though I hadn't said anything, she seemed to realize my problem. Could I kill someone if it meant saving myself?
でもね、タク。
But, you know, Taku.
多分のんちゃんなら相手が幼なじみでも親友でもタクを守るためにためらわないで優 っつけると思うんだ。
I think that even if it were her best friend, no one would kill them without a second thought if she had to do it to protect you. That's some serious confidence, damn, man.
もちろん私もだよ。
Of course, I would too. I'd do anything
どんなこと
for
で
you.
もするし、誰にも負けないと思う。絶対に。
I'd do anything for you, and I don't think I'd lose to anyone, ever.
尾上
Oh no.
タクはどうかな。
What about you, Taku? Maybe she was right. Bruce would probably kill her friend if it was the only way to protect us.
でも
But
そんな
can't
こと
let
クル
Cruz
スに
do
させ
that.
ていいわけない
I can't let it happen. If that woman really was Sanru Minami-sama, it wasn't just Karus who needed to do it. Or it wasn't Karus who needed to do it. It was me, right? That's right, that was the way for me to overcome my trauma too.
あ、でも今日は18日だよね。
Oh, but today's the 18th, right?
どうしたいきなり
Why is that important? Following Sarika's conversations was as impossible as ever.
あのね、次の事件はすぐには起きないんじゃないかなって。
Oh, I was just thinking, the next murder won't be for a while.
すぐに起きない
It won't? I looked at the calendar and then realized.
次は23日か
The next is the 23rd, right? If these killings were following the new generation madness, the next murder would be on the 23rd. After that would be the Yummy Hand on October 28th, the DQN puzzle on the 4th. And if we could get through the 23rd, we'd be safe for a while. Yeah, you got time.
うん。だからそれまでは安全かも。
We won't be safe until then.
とはいえ23日になったら24時間逃げ回らなきゃいけないんだよな
That means we'll have to spend the whole day running on the 23rd, though.
だったらその日はみんなで一緒にいようよ。
Let's all stay together that day.
いくら恨みを持ってるからってみんなのいる場所に堂々と出てくるなんてできないんじゃないかな。
Even if she hates you, I don't think she can just show up when we're all together. That's some confidence. Do you guys have guns? Or at least some way to defend yourself? A long knife? A broomstick?
なる
A
ほど
regular stick?
やっぱりそういう作戦しかないか
I see. That might be our only plan. Yeah. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. If we could avoid the murderer that way, we'd win.
部活のみんなにも協力してもらって深夜までやってるお店に入っちゃうとか、佐久間先生さえ許してくれれば青葉寮で合宿してもいいかも。
You could go to the police station and ask them to take out their guns. Even if the cops don't carry them by default, they surely have some at the station, right? Under a lock and key. We could have everyone in the club help and go to some place that's open all night. And if Dr. Sakuma says it's okay, we could stay at the Alpha Dorm.
尾上お前意外と考えてるんだな
You're smarter than you look, Onoe. That's a big
なん
compliment.
かすっごく褒められちゃった。
It also implies she looks dumb if you take it wrong. Yeah, it's not a compliment. It's not a compliment at all. But whenever I was in trouble or worried about something, Sarika had always been there to listen. She was one of the few people who really understood me. Of course, I was too embarrassed to tell her that. I had no plans to ever do so.
それじゃあタク、おやすみ。いい夢見てね。
Okay, Taku. Hey, good night. Sweet dreams.
ああおやすみ
Yeah, good night. I hung up and looked at the calendar on the wall again.
10月23日
October 23rd.
犯人はどう動き
What's
どんな
the
犯罪を
killer
犯
going
す
to
んだ
do?
それは本当に何らかのメッセージなんだろうか
Is it really some kind of message?
そして狙われているのはこの僕か
And am I really the target?
それとも
Or... Just like we'd expected, nothing happened over the next few days. Okay. There was no sign of the woman, no new arson cases, which meant no news about the cases. For my part, I was trying to figure out how to use my power to protect everyone, instead of just screwing around like I had before. And then the day was upon us. Alright, it's the 23rd. We've done a bit of a time skip of a few days.
とりあえず今のところは何もなしか。
Oh, nothing's happened so far, right?
あ
Yeah.
よかったっすね、宮代先輩。これもわざわざひなえちゃんが付き合ってあげてるおかげっすよ。感謝の印として今度専属屋のマンゴーフルーツパフェご馳走してくださいね。
Aren't you glad, Miyashiro? It's all because I'm hanging out with you. You can thank me by buying me a mango fruit parfait at Senzokuya, okay?
何言ってんだ。お前だって狙われてるかもしれないだろ。お互い様ってやつだ。
What are you talking about? They might be after you too.
うわー、どけ。ちょっとみんな気を抜くのが早すぎるわ。問題はこれからなんだから。
Listen, everyone, it's too early to let your guard down. This is where things start to get tough. Yeah, we're halfway through the day. This is where everyone's getting confident because they're halfway through it. In reality, nothing's actually started. Nothing had happened during school. We'd made sure nobody was alone during break periods, and it had paid off. Oh, Yuki's here too. Alright.
なんだ山添。
What is it, Yamazoe?
私も一緒にここにいてよかったんでしょうか。学園の生徒でもないのに。
Is it okay for me to be here? I'm not a student. You
今日は
could be.
特別だ。
Today's
君だって
special.
能力者なんだから。
You're a
狙われ
psychic
ないと
too, so
限
they
らない。
might come after you.
そういうこと。今日が無事に終わるまで絶対に私たちと離れてはダメよ。
That's right. Make sure you stay with us until the day is over, right?
はい。
Yes, ma'am. Uki seemed uncomfortable in this new environment all day.
で、これからどうすんだ？
Oh, what now?
そろそろ学校も人が少なくなるし、移動した方がいいわね。
People are starting to leave, so we should probably go somewhere else.
渋谷で遅くまで開いている店へ行こう。悪いけど、みんなも付き合ってくれるか？
Let's go someplace that's in Shibuya that's open late. You guys don't mind coming with me, right? Why would you not just
しょ
leave
うがない
Shibuya
っ
for the
すね
day?。
その代わり、宮代先輩のおごりでよろしく。
Okay, fine, but you're paying.
有村、他のメンバーはともかく、お前は割り勘だ。
Ooh. Arimura, I might pay for the others, but you and I are going Dutch. Get fucked. Pay your own way.
先輩ひどい。鬼、悪魔。
What? You're mean. A demon. A devil. Call me whatever you want.
それでどこ行くの？
Where do we go?
カラオケとか？
Karaoke? Karaoke? Karaoke?
できれば懐的に優しいところ
I'd
にして
rather
くれ
go。someplace cheap.
だ
Doesn't
と
want to
す
have
る
that
と
embarrassing
行
moment
き
where he's
先は
going
いつ
bad
も
at
のあそこ
karaoke.
だね。
So the usual place then?
よう来たの。ゆるりと過ごしてゆくがよい。
Welcome, take it down.
どうも。お主たちか。好きな席に座ってよいぞ。
Sit wherever you like. We chose a seat by the window with a good view. Ah, perfect. If they have well, I don't think if their powers are line of sight based or they need to identify you, you can now be clearly identified by them looking in the window. Cafe LAX stood over a whole floor of a classy 2-story business near the Shibuya residential district. Oh, okay, it's on the second floor. With a window seat, we could see all around the building, and we'd spot that pyrokinetic Senri Minamisawa. That was who she was immediately.
閉店までここにいられるね。
We could stay here till they close, huh?
そのためにはたくさん注文しなきゃ。すみません。
We need to order a lot then. Excuse
もう
me.
一度確認しとくぞ。有村自腹だからな。
Just gonna say this once more, Arimura. You're paying for yourself. Aww.
どれ、注文は決まったのか？
Oh, you're
忙しい
missing
からさっさとオーダーするよ。
I'm busy. Make it quick.
店員さん、忙しいなら私もお店の手伝いをしますので。
Ma'am, if you're busy, I can help around the store.
は？
What?
こらこら山添、客は手伝わなくていいんだからな。ていうか手伝っちゃダメだからな。
Come on, Yamazoe. Customers aren't allowed to help the staff. Actually, you're not allowed.
んですか？
I'm not?
そうなんです。
You're not, yeah.
私はここからここまで全部お願いします。
Okay, I'll take everything from here to here.
だから有村、どさくさに紛れてそういう注文するな。お前には絶対におごらないからな。
Alright, Roy, don't try to order the whole menu when I'm not looking. I'm not paying your bill. He keeps having to remind her that, like he's gonna be paying anyway.
うー
Oh, Sarika's full.
おのえ、
Oh no, wait,
何を
what's
なったんだ
wrong?
よ。
さっき食べたシュークリームのクリームが髪についちゃって。
Oh, the cream from the cream puff you ate got in your hair? How did you pull it off with short hair that length? How are you getting cream from eating in your hair? With like short hair like Sarika's? That's impressive. It's like she took a bite of her cream puff and just rubbed it in her hair. No, don't do this, guys. I'm already feeling tired. Don't yawn.
花ってば大きなあくび。
Hannah, that's a big yawn.
伊藤もだ。
You too,
い
Ito.
く
Come
ら
on,
なん
man.
でも
Stay
気を抜
sharp.
きすぎだろ。
Order that coffee.
それにお行儀が悪いわよ。
It's bad manners, too.
んなこと言ったってしょうがないだろ。何時間もただだらっとしてるだけなんだから。
I can't help it. We've been here for hours just killing time. Literal hours. We've been at Cafe Lax for 4 hours already. At first, everyone had been tense and alert, but it seemed like we were starting to hit our limits. Armor and I seemed to be relaxing a little. If we were alone, we would have been afraid, but now that we're surrounded by friends, if you add in the waitress and other customers, there were even more people here now. I couldn't imagine someone barging in and attacking.
おいこら、お主
Oi,
ら。
you people. The waitress walked over at some point while I was looking at the window and was standing next to me.
一体何時間粘るつもりじゃ。これ以上注文せんのならいい加減。
How many hours are you planning to stay here if you're not going to order more?
ああ、します、注文。メニューください。
Oh, we will order. Give me a menu. I guess we had to order extra after all. It was only natural, but it was putting a big dent in my budget for the month.
ほれ、メニューじゃ。
Here, have a menu.
ありがとうございます。タク、何頼む？
Thanks, Taku. What do you want? Sarika took the menu and handed it to me.
そうだな。
Let's see.
なるべく安いもの。
Something cheap, something cheap, something cheap. This is where the first thing you see is steak, and you're like, fuck me, that's expensive. As I flipped through the menu, I saw... Oh. That's... Damn. Alright. That's a sumo sticker. Also, coffee is on the top left. Haha. Instant coffee. Soft drinks is the third header. I wonder what this one is. The middle header is tea, right? Iced tea. Lemon tea. Milk tea. And this one's like Dajiren? Dajiri? I don't even know what that is. I felt horribly dizzy and my eyes started to go blurry. It felt bad. It hurt to breathe. It's the same as that night. The 11th Rorschach, which tortured Arimura and I on the night we were attacked by the pyrokinetic, was right in front of me. Everything started to go dim. No, not now. Stay strong, don't lose it. He's losing it. Don't lose it. He's losing it. He's losing it for sure. We passed out? Wait, or what? Okay, I managed to get a hold of myself. But where did everyone go? This makes no sense. How?
クルス
Cruz, oh no wait, Ito.
糸
Where?
和樹
Tell
有村山添
Oh, so it. They're all gone. Not only my friends, but even the waitress had disappeared. Everyone was gone.
嘘だろ
This can't be happening.
誰かいないのか
Hello, is anyone there? I called out to the back of the cafe, but there was no sign anyone was there.
そうなんでだよ
Damn it, what's going on? This sound.
この音
This sound is... All the sound had disappeared from the world. The music that had been playing in the cafe was gone, and so were the sounds of cars that sometimes passed by on the road. There was nothing but the strange silence and dark gloom. I could only hear one thing, the terrifying sound. She was getting closer. The footsteps were coming up the stairs to the cafe. Shivering with fear, I forced myself to quietly open the door to the cafe and snuck out onto the landing. Trembling, I looked down the stairs into the first floor, and there I saw... So he's hallucinating this, right? I mean, he's with someone who can involuntarily plays out someone's fantasies for them. Like, this could easily happen. That's... Starts screaming. He's in a hallucination, right? Our eyes met! Oh my god, our eyes met! Scream! Our eyes met for an instant. I saw those eyes like cold fire looking up at me from beneath the hair that covered her whole face. I knew it. That was...
あれはこの前のパイロキネシスト南沢千里
It's a pyrokinetic from before Senri Minami-sama. As if she can sense my fear. Senri Minami-sama looked at me and smiled. It was a smile of a beast that had found its prey. I found you.
見つけた。
This chapter is titled Betrayal. Betrayal? Interesting. Alright, panic attack. I gritted my teeth to keep from screaming and ran back into the cafe. I closed the door as quietly as I could. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm so scared. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me. She's going to kill me. Senri Minami-sama is going to kill me. So funny. I tried to scream for help, but my voice got caught in my throat. No, even if I'd been able to yell, no one was there to help me. Karusa was gone, Sarika was gone, so were Ito, Arimura, Kazuki, Uki. Even the waitress had disappeared. The lighting seemed to have turned a faded yellow too. The cafe was much darker than usual. Why? Why did everyone disappear? I was too scared to speak or do anything except slowly move backwards from the door. Finally, I hit the wall and found myself with nowhere to run. That's where my power... I can use my power. I can knock her flames away again. I tried desperately to psych myself up for the fight. But... Why? I couldn't see it. The D sword. The D sword wouldn't appear. Why? Why now of all times? No matter how much I tried to concentrate, the terror went out and the D sword refused to appear. Past the entrance to the cafe, I could hear the loud clicking of a heel against the floor and the sound of a leg sliding along the ground. He was bringing me a merciless death. There has to be somewhere to hide. I looked around and saw a door on the other side of the kitchen. It was it was the employee bathroom. You're gonna go to the bathroom and hide there, brave man. I mean, you don't have to be brave, but I feel like that's an easy place to be spotted. I flung myself away from the wall, ripped open the door, and went inside. Then I locked the door with trembling hands. Naturally, if she knows you're in a room, she won't check the room behind it, of course. Of course. There were no windows in the bathroom. I'd run inside without even bothering to turn on the lights, so it was pitch black. In that cramped and closed space, my heart started to pound fast, and my breathing became heavy. If there's literally no other sound, anyone should be able to hear you, unless that's like a really thick door. He was going to hear me. I needed to be quiet. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle the sound. It hurt to breathe. But I couldn't be quiet. If she'd find me and kill me. Senri Minami Sawa's footsteps finally reached this floor. And then she stopped suddenly, and there was an eerie silence. I could almost sense somehow she was looking for me. Just go away. Leave me alone. For once, this guy's not screaming in terror. I prayed, but it was a waste of time. She came inside the cafe. The footsteps started again. Slowly, slowly. She's here. The woman slowly moved around the cafe. I think it's time for me to get a drink. Delicious. I already had a drink, but I could always use one more. The woman slowly moved around the cafe. I could hear her dragging her leg from one side of the cafe to the other, as if she was toying with me. Each time she moved, she knocked glasses and cups to the floor where they shattered. All I could do was try not to scream. I remembered all the horrible ways the other psychics had died. Don't look at me. Leaky noise, revolving dead, Gatsuan dead. What was going to happen to me too? Was that going to happen to me too? I don't want to die like that. How much time passed after that? Suddenly her footsteps started to get further and further away. Huh? I couldn't tell from here, but it felt like she might be about to leave. Am I safe? I concentrated as hard as I could on listening to those eerie footsteps. I could hear a door open and close, and then that awful dragging sound again, this time going down the stairs. And soon there was no sound at all. Oh, we're safe. We're safe. We're not getting murdered in a dream or in this pocket dimension. I panted in relief. I made it. I made it. I made it. We're safe. Now I wouldn't die in the next New Generation Mad. Oh, it's the knocking now. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. It was so utterly unexpected I couldn't stop myself from screaming. The knocking stopped for an instant. I could sense that someone was looking at me from the other side of the flimsy door. It can't be happening. She just went down the stairs. The knocking started again. It's the same knock, the one I heard at the hotel. It's the hotel knock, guys. We're fucked. And slowly but steadily it continued. The interval between each knock was identical and mechanical. Knock, 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 knock. I tried to get as far away from the door as I could. But the bathroom was tiny and there was nowhere to run. Fine, you want to fight? You can have one, even if I can't use my power. I won't let her just kill me. I'll catch him by my damn self. Could I beat a pyrokinetic with my bare hands? The thought flashed through my mind for an instant. I didn't think I could take the terror anymore. I was at my limit. Take this! I screamed, unlocked the door, and slammed into it as hard as I could. The bathroom door opened with a bang. Overcome with terror, I screamed and slammed the person in front of me to the floor. But
何してるのタクル。
what are you doing, Tucker? At the last minute, someone grabbed my head from the side. I smelled a pleasant scent I knew all too well.
どうしたの一体。
What's gotten into you?
くる
Bruce was beside me, holding me, and
重いよタク。潰れる。中身が出る。
you're heavy, Tucker. You're crushing me. My insides are gonna come out. What? The person I'd knocked to the floor was Sarika. Any more, and I would have hurt her.
宮代先輩、すっげえ大胆。こんな場所でセリの初めてを奪おうとするなんて。
Miyashiro, you're so bold, trying to take her first time? Here?
違うそんな
I'm
ことに
not. Anyway. I shook off Carusa's arm and stood up.
あの女
Where's that woman?
あの女？
That woman? Everyone looked confused. Sarika stood up, rubbed her butt, and started to look around the room.
あの女って誰？
Which woman?
だから今ここにいたろ
She was just here, the one who tried to
僕
kill
を殺そう
me.
としてっていうかお前らこそ今までどこにいたんだよ
Where have you been?
あ？どこってずっとここにいたぞ。
You disappeared. Or, sorry. We've been here the whole time. Ito stood up from the sofa on the window. Yamazoe and Kazuki were sitting next to him with surprised looks on their faces.
なあ、お主ら、少しばかり騒がしいの。これ以上迷惑になるようなら、即刻出て行ってもらうが。
You folks, you've been a bit loud. Any more? I'll have to ask you to leave. Even the waitress was here too.
そんな
Impossible. That's impossible. But
確か
I was attacked and right in this cafe.
しかも店には誰もいなくて
Was it just a dream?
いや違う
It wasn't a dream. It was too
夢
real.
じゃない何もかも通りだった
I could still remember the sound of her leg dragging and the sound of the knocking at the door. Just thinking of them made me shiver.
ってことはこれもあの女の南沢千里の能力なのか偽のカフェラックスを作り出し
Is this another power Senri has? She made a fake cafe LAX and trapped me in it? I thought she was just a pyrokinetic. Could she do that as well?
いやそれとも
Maybe there's another psychic helping her?
能力者がいるのか
Either way, the possibility we discussed at the newspaper club was right, and in a bad way.
ちょっと大丈夫タクル。ひどい汗よ。
Are you okay, Takuru? You're really sweating. Curious took out a handkerchief from her pocket and started to gently wipe the sweat from my forehead. Suddenly, her hand stopped. She looked at me, her face pale.
タクル、あなた、目から血が。
Tucker, there's blood coming out of your eyes.
Huh?
What? I put my hands up to my eyes, surprised. When I tried to rub them, I felt something slick. When I looked at my hands, they were bright red. I could see blood on her handkerchief, too. Had I been so scared and tense, the blood vessels around my eyes had burst?
どうしたのそれ。
What happened?
大丈夫か
Are you okay, Mishiro?
あ
Yeah.
父さんに見てもらわなきゃ。
We should have Dad look at this.
行こう、タク。
Let's go, Taku. Boris and Surika tried to drag me out of the cafe. I could see Ito, Arimura, Katsuki, and Uki in the corner of my eye trying to figure out what to do. I turned to them and said,
伊藤有村和樹山添お前たちも一緒に
Ito, Arimura, Katsuki, Yamazo, you guys come too. Okay.
私もいいんですか？こんな時間に？
Is it okay for me to come along at a time like this?
遠慮なんかしてる場合じゃない。
No, it's time we know they're
能力者が
targeting
ターゲ
something.
ットにされてるのは間違いないんだ。
Yeah, we gotta go
今
together,
日が
guys.
終わるまでとにかく離れちゃダメだ。
Stay with us until the day's over. We left Cafe LAX and headed for Alba Clinic.
はあ、特に目に異常はねえな。角膜も綺麗なもんだし、血圧もほぼ正常と。
No problems with your eyes. Retinas look good and blood pressure is normal. Dad nodded as he looked at me.
頭痛はするか？体のどこかが痺れるとかは？
Headaches? Numbness? Anywhere?
特には。
Not really. Is he gonna say he's been having visions? No, this character's too stupid to share that.
視界の一部が欠けてたり、狭くなったりもしてないな。
No gaps in your vision? No narrowed field of view? Dude, this guy, like, we literally had, like, a violent hallucination, and our character's like, oh, I'm fine. Your eyes are bleeding. Oh, I'm fine. It's like, this is the kind of guy who, like, gets cut in half, and he's like, oh man, my leg's feeling sore. No, nothing.
そっか。
I
なら
see, then
大
you're
丈
fine.
夫だ。
You're fine.
本当に？
Really?
もっと
Take a
よく
closer
見て。
look? Bruce was sitting next to me, worried.
さっきからそればっかだな、お前。
You keep saying that.
だって。
But
まぶたの裏に血管があって、稀にそれが切れることがある。ひどい緊張や興奮をして力が入ったり、踏ん張ったりするとな。
there are
覚えがないか、タグル。
There are blood vessels on the back of the eyelids, and once in a while they can burst, especially under great stress, excitement, or strain. Does that ring any bells to Karun? I remember the attack at Cafe LAX and Lax and shivered, but I nodded before Dad could see.
だろう？
See,
それが
that's
原
the
因だ
cause.
よ。心配ない。
Don't worry, he's fine. Dad called up my chart on the computer, the same one he'd been using since I was in a coma. He started to type something.
おいおい、ノノ。
Come on,
そんな
Nono.
おっかない
Come on,
顔で
Nono.
睨むなって。
Don't glare at me like that.
タクルに何かあったらどうする気？
What if something happens to Karun?
わかったわかった。
Fine, fine. He stopped typing and opened another page on the chart.
タグル、紹介状書いてやるから、明日また頭の中の写真撮ってこい。
Sure, I'll write you a referral. Go get some more brain scans done tomorrow.
でも、
But
いいからいいかって。
just do it. I don't want my daughter getting mad and refusing to talk to
聞
me.
いてくれなくなったら困るんだよ。
Like, no, literally controlling the entire family. The guy's literally giving you brain scans he doesn't think you need because he's scared of Nono.
うん。
Okay. Dad wrote me another referral to the same hospital as before, which was finally enough to satisfy
い
Nono.
や、そうだ、ノノ。
Oh, right. Nono?
お前、自分もまだ病み上がりだってこと忘れんなよ。
Don't forget you're still recovering from an injury, too.
あ、うん。
Right.
そうね。ごめん
Sorry.
なさい。
わかってりゃいい。
As long as you understand. Dad smiled. All right. We're not dead. Bruce and I thanked Dad and then went up to the dining room where the rest of the group was waiting.
ああ、ウキ。私アップルティー。
Oh, Uki, I'll have some apple tea.
私も
Me too.
わかりました。
Right.
伊藤さんは
And you, Ito?
コーヒー、ブラックで。
Coffee. Black. Tea. Earl Grey. Hot. When we got to the dining room, Uki was running around getting drinks for everyone. I looked at the clock. It was almost 11 p.m. There was just one more hour until the 23rd was over.
で、さっき何があったのかちゃんと説明してくれるんですよね、宮代先輩。
So, can you tell us what happened back then, Miyashiro? Aramura looked at me as she sipped her apple tea. Just ominously sipping apple tea. Delicious apples. The cinnamon aroma. The cinnamon aroma. Delicious apples. She had the same joking voice used at school, but her eyes were serious. She seemed to have come up with her own ideas on what might have happened to me, and her eyes were as gloomy as they were when we first met.
話すよ。
I'll tell you. It's about the
例の
pyrokinetic.
パイロキネシストのことだから。
南沢千里。
Senri Minami-san?
Mm.
Yeah. I glanced at Karus just for a second. I thought she wouldn't want to hear her old friend might be a serial killer.
クルス、
Karus,
もし嫌な
this
ら
is gonna upset you. Yeah.
自分の部屋に戻っててくれ。
Go back to your room.
父さんかユイのところへ行ってて
Or
も
be
いい
with
し。
Dad or Yui.
うん、
No, tell
ちゃ
me.
んと聞かせて。
クルス、
聞きたいの。
I want to hear.
だからここに
That's
いる。
why I'm here. I see.
そっか。じゃあ、
Well, okay. I sat down in a chair at the big dinner table and after a moment's hesitation slowly began to describe what happened to me at the cafe. As I talked, the terror started to come back to me. My hands were soon covered in a nasty sweat. I didn't want to look bad in front of everyone, but I couldn't stop my voice from shaking.
それでその後は、
And you know what
知っての
happened
通
after
り
that?
だ。
I opened the
ドアを
door
飛
and
び出したら
outside the
外はいつも通
cafe
り
was
のカフェ
completely
に戻
normal.
ってた。
Everyone's just silent. There was silence for a moment after I finished. Okay. Armor especially seemed to be lost in thought. This was, of course, because Senator Minami-sawa was probably after me, her, or Uki.
殺されてたまるか。
I'm not letting her kill me. She whispered in a low voice and suddenly struck her hand out into the air.
おい、
Hey. Yep. Yamazoe and I moved away surprised. Armora suddenly drew her D-sword.
お前、何を。
What are you doing?
決まってるでしょ。武器ですよ。
What does it look like I'm getting a weapon?
武器。
あんたも出せるんだよね、ウキ。もしあいつが現れたら戦う。手伝いなさい。
You can summon yours too, right, Uki? If she shows up, I'm fighting. Help me.
戦うって、私そんな。
I can't fight.
いいから早く。
Just do it. Uki tried to shake her head no, but when Arimura glared at her threateningly, she bit her lip and reached out her hand. A giant sword appeared in her hand too. Hold up. It's not just like a butterfly sword, it's literally like a goat skull sword with like black armor grip. Are you serious? This is like the one of the edgiest swords we've seen in this series. We've seen like 5 swords, and this is the edgiest one we've seen. Alright then. A giant sword appeared in her hand.
宮代先輩も
You
早
too,
く。
Miyashiro. Hurry.
そんなこと急に言われても
I don't know how to
ど
try
うやって抜いたらいいかを。
役に立ちませんね。
Useless. I could hear how annoyed she was. It had been a long time since I'd seen her act this cold.
ねえ、何？
Hey,
どう
what's
し
going
た
on?
の？
What's up?
一体何の話してんだよ。
What are you talking about? The others couldn't see the D-sword. All they saw was Uki and I freaking out.
私たちこの前、南沢千里に襲われました。そして今日も宮代先輩が。
We were attacked by Senri once already, and today you...
こんなのもう我慢できない。
I can't take it anymore, so... Armor looked at the sword in her hands and
こ
cackled.
の手で事件を終わらせてやります。南沢千里を殺して。
I'm gonna end this myself. I'm gonna kill her.
ちょっと待って。
Wait. Everyone turned to look at Cruz. She probably knew she was getting too emotional about the situation because she was hesitating more than I'd ever seen her before.
あのね、千里が犯人って、本当のことなの？
Are we absolutely sure Senri's the killer?
証拠はまだあの ID カードと僕らの証言しかない。けど、
The only evidence is the ID card and what we saw, but
慰霊碑にはあの子の名前がちゃんとあるのよ。
her name's on the memorial. She can't be dead. Her name's on the memorial.
それは何かのミスじゃないですか。A1 東京総合病院のデータでは行方不明になっていたんですよね。
There has to be some kind of mistake. The data we found in the hospital said she was missing,
けど、
right?
私見たんだもの。私の目の前で 千里は瓦礫に潰されて。
I saw it myself. Senri was crushed by rubble right in front of me. She must have been remembering something painful. She put her hands to her chest and her nails dug in deep. And then Arimura raised her eyebrows so high I could see it from here.
クルス先輩、
Kurus,
どうして嘘をつくんですか？
why are you lying?
え？
Huh? Oh? Shocked, I glanced at them from one to the other. Arimura was staring at Kurus with suspicious eyes. Kurus's expression remained unchanged to the point where it almost seemed unnatural.
クルス先輩の今の言葉は嘘です。
What you just said was a lie. Arimura's power let her tell when someone was lying. In other words, Kurus was absolutely lying right now. But Kurus looked Arimura dead in the eye as she spoke.
嘘なんかじゃないわ。
I'm not lying.
いいえ、先輩は南沢千里が死んだところを見ていません。
No, you didn't see Senri Minami Sawa die.
あなたの能力というのがどのくらい正確なのか私は知らない。けれど彼女はもうこの世にはいないわ。
I don't know how accurate the power of yours is, but she's gone.
そう信じたいだけじゃないんですか。
That's what you want to believe, isn't it?
南沢千里が実は生きているのを知っているとか。
Oh, maybe you know she's alive after all. Kurus lied again. Oh no, yeah. Never happened before. That's never happened before. Thank God we have a literal human lie detector just chilling out here, or we never know what she ever meant or said. The two of them glared at each other.
もし仮に。
If just hypothetically.
はい。
Yes. Yes.
仮に千里が生き延びていたとしても、あの子に殺人なんてできるはずがない。
If she survived, she couldn't kill anyone. There's no way. Bruce's voice shook, or took on a sorrowful note.
千里は
Senri was
とっても臆病な子だった。
very scared girl.
小さな虫を
So
殺す
timid
こと
she
もで
couldn't
きな
kill
い
an
くらい
insect, and
気が
whenever
弱くて、
something happened, she'd start crying.
何かあるとすぐに泣きべそを
Why
か
she
い
always
て。
followed someone else around.
だからもちろん暴力なんて嫌いだったし、血を見るのすら苦手だった。そんな千里が猟奇殺人なんて。
Good news, you don't have to see any blood if you burn someone to
ど
a
うしても納
crisp.
得がいかない。ありえないわ。
Of course, she hated violence, even just the sight of blood. I can't imagine she'd kill someone. It's impossible.
どうやら今度は本当のことを言っているようですね。
I guess this time you're telling the truth.
だから
That's why. Chris's voice was rarely as emotional, but she must have realized nothing she said would matter, so she fell silent.
とにかく千里が犯人じゃないとしたら、タクルたちの憶測は完全に間違ってしまっているわ。真犯人が他にいたらどうする気なの？
Anyway, if Senri's not the killer, your hypothesis is completely wrong. What if someone else is the real killer?
それは
It's very likely, since we've only seen people with singular powers so far. Pyrokinesis, lie detector, manifesting dream, manifesting fantasies, and telekinesis. We haven't seen anyone who alters reality, but it's possible. We've seen one person who's kind of altered reality, so it's possible this one can kill you in your dream, or like drag you into your mind into a dimension that causes damage in real life, something like that. Of course, I thought about that possibility. There might be multiple killers. There might be another psychic working with Senri.
でもだとしても
Even if there
今
is,
日
as
が終わ
long
る
as
ま
we
で
can
に
make it to
誰
the
も
end of the
殺
day,
され
we
なけれ
win.
ば僕らの勝ち。
Yui starts screaming. Oh boy, here we go. Huh? Everyone leapt out of their chairs. We heard a scream from downstairs. What was that? Yui's voice?
Yui!
Therese ran down the stairs. We followed right after her. Oh boy. Yui had fallen backwards onto the ground near the front desk, her face pale and her jaw chattering.
お姉ちゃん、ねえ、
Yui,
どう
what's
した
going
の？
on?
ユイ大丈夫かユイ
Yui, are you, Yui? Yuto and Dad grabbed her and held her tight, but she was still shaking. The terror had completely consumed her.
何があったの？
What happened, Yui?
お姉ちゃん。 しっかりしなさい。
Get a hold of yourself. Hello? Chris grabbed her by the cheeks and yelled.
私寝ようと思って
Oh boy, this is getting tense. I was going to bed. I went to say goodnight to Dad.
おやすみなさい。父さんも無理しないでもう寝たら
Good night. Don't work too hard, Dad. Why not go to bed?
そう思うんだったらののに意見しといてくれ。あいつのせいで余計な仕事が一つ増えたんだよ。
If you think I'm working too hard, go complain to Nono. Thanks to her, I've got to do extra work.
ナナ姉はタクル兄のことになると人が変わるから
Nono attacks totally different when it comes to Takuru.
違いねえな。じゃ、おやすみ。
Got that right? Anyway, good night.
おやすみ
Yeah, good night.
それで
I left the exam room to go back upstairs.
その時
I heard a sound from the front door.
玄関のドアから音がノックの音が
Someone knocked.
私休館の人かなって思ってそれで
I thought it might be a patient who needed help, so I answered.
すみません今日の診察は終わりなんです休館でしたら夜間診療のある病院をご紹介しますけど
I'm sorry, we're closed for the day. If you really need help, I can tell you where to find a hospital that's open 24 hours.
どうなさいました救急車呼んだ方がいいですか
What's wrong? Should I call an ambulance? Ambulances don't travel at the speed of light.
一体何なんですかいたずらならやめてください
What's this? It's a prank. Please stop now.
だからやめてください
I said stop, please.
私ものすごく怖くなって
I got really scared. But outside.
外
I looked outside. Oh boy.
もう大丈夫。
Okay, it's okay
大丈
now.
夫
It's
よ、
okay.
ゆ
You...
い。
Curious rubbed her head gently, and at last the dam burst, and Yui started to cry. No. I like how her name's Nono. It's kind of funny there. Everyone looked at each other pale as we listened to her sob. Arimura and I, in particular, had gone as deathly white as Yui. Knocking? That was the same thing I heard at the cafe.
やっぱり追いかけてきたんだ。
So she did follow us. Yeah. I could feel my knees shaking. I remember the knocking and the dragging footsteps I'd heard at the cafe, and my heart began to feel overwhelmed with terror. I felt an impulse to run screaming off into the night, but strangely enough, it was Arimura who gave in before I did. She gritted her teeth so hard I could hear her from where I was standing, and then ran towards the front entrance.
おい有村
Hey, Arimura!
ひなちゃん
Hina. She yanked open the lock on the door and flung it open, running out into the street, flailing her D-sword. D-sword?
南沢千里、私はここにいる。くだらない小細工なんかやめて、さっさと殺しに来いよ。
Senator Namsa, I'm right here, stop fucking around and come get me! Actually said, stop fucking around and come get me. She kept swinging her D-sword at the shadows formed by the streetlights.
私はもう逃げも隠れもしない。殺せるもんなら殺してみろって言ってんだ。
I'm done with running, I'm done hiding. If you think you can kill me, try it!
やめろ有村何やってるんだよ
Stop it, Arimura, what are you doing? I grabbed Arimura from behind. She'd clearly gone insane. Her D-sword hadn't been real booted yet, so it just slid right through me. If it had been, I wouldn't have survived.
やだ、離して。殺されるのは嫌。
Let me go, I don't want to die!
落ち着けあいつは僕らがパニックになるのを狙ってるんだ冷静にならなきゃ負けだ
Wow, impressive. Takuru managed to hold it together for more than 1 second. Calm down, she's trying to make us panic. If we can't calm down, we lose.
なんでこんな目に遭わなきゃならないの？能力なんてなければよかった。こんなものさえなければ。
Why did this have to happen to me? I never wanted this power. If only I didn't have it. When I saw her, I realized I'd been making a mistake. For a while now, I thought I was starting to understand Arimura, but I was wrong. A bratty know-it-all. A normal girl who sometimes got excited and smiled, a childlike smile. I was always surprised when she did, but I also told myself that was who she really was. But I was wrong. She was a weak little girl whose fate was caught up in events far beyond her control. That's right. If it weren't for these powers, this wouldn't have happened to any of us. No one would have been killed, and no one would have been tortured in those experiments in that basement. I hated myself for ever being proud of my powers. Why did they even exist? Who gave me these, and why? Arimura's body was shaking as I held her, and pathetically enough, I was shaking every bit as much.
Miyashiro! Arimura!
Miyashiro, Arimura! Ito ran up to us as we sat on the side of the road. Yeah. Surprisingly enough, this is actually what it looks like when Miyashiro is keeping it together. He's usually the guy who breaks first. And like really hard. Like he literally hears footsteps in a hospital at night and panics so hard. He's struggling to stop screaming. He drops his phone. Like he hears footsteps when he's like following a group of people, and he literally starts screaming in terror. Like you heard footsteps when you were following after people. Oh my god. He just screams at everything. He screams, he panics, he does everything. Somehow, this is actually him holding it together. Weirdly enough. Like, this is probably the best response he's had to something scary the whole freaking book. Alright, Sarika, Uki, and Kazuki ran after him. Good, you're all nice and together. Nice time to just go pyroclasm, kill everybody. Are you okay? Yeah, maybe he's used to it, maybe. Yeah, we calmed down. Thankfully. I lied so as to not worry them.
それより部屋へ戻ろう。ここにいたら危ない。いつ襲われるか。
Anyway, let's get inside. We could be attacked any minute. And then Ito cut me off and showed me his phone. I flinched away.
まさか。
It's not another phone call, is it? It's gonna be 12:01. It's gonna be 12:01. Ito must have guessed what I was thinking because he quickly shook his head.
違う。よく見ろ、Miyashiro.
Look, Miyashiro. I stared at the phone. It had the usual wallpaper, the usual apps. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Why do you have your phone unlocked, Ito? Just lock it. The lock... I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the numbers for the time on the phone are bigger on the lock screen than they are when you unlock it and have to look at the top of your phone. Easier to read.
気がついたか?
Did she notice?
おのえ、お前のも見せてくれ。
Oh no, wait, let me see yours. Okay. Sarika took out her phone out of her pocket and showed it to me. It showed the same thing Ito's did. The present time and date. 12:03 a.m. October 24th. October 23rd was over.
助かった。
Are we safe?
のか。
Arimura swung her head around and yanked the phone out of Sarika's hands. Her fingers were shaking too much to read what it said. She stared at it again and again and again and again, and then... If you're alive, then does that mean someone else died? That'd be my first thought, actually. Well, okay, you know what? Yeah, relief is good. Then think. If you're not dead, someone else just died. The strength drained from her tiny body as she collapsed into me, and then she passed out. October 23rd, the day of the return of the new generation madness. And we'd survived it. Kazuki got into her usual gaming position and stretched. She was about to start playing ESO too. I chuckled as I opened The lid of my lunchbox, everything was returning to normal. Is this where it starts chilling for Mountain View again? Inside the lunchbox was a sandwich Caruso had made for me. And morning had come. It was a Saturday, but it was the one day of the month we went to school on weekends. We'd gotten some sleep at Alba Dorm and then taken showers and come to school. Yui and Arimura still hadn't woken up and were staying at the Alba Clinic. Neither of them seemed hurt, and Caruso and Uki were staying home to take care of them. For my part, I'd skipped out of the morning classes to stop by the brain doctor Dad had referred me to. The results had been the same as Dad had said, nothing wrong in the blood vessels in my brain. When I told Caruso over the phone, she sounded relieved. Now then, I wasn't feeling hungry, but I didn't want to let the sandwich go to waste. I took a little nibble of it as I stared at the board on the wall. Is it really over? Is the return of the madness all done? The net had been in an uproar last night, but it still was. Not because something had happened. In fact, their uproar was because nothing had happened. I checked a bunch of different places, TV, radio, even the newspaper. Nothing happened on the 23rd that would make you think of New Generation madness. There were all kinds of rumors going around the net. This included a weird conspiracy theory that the killer had been captured, but because he was the son of a major politician, they wouldn't go public with it. Why not present this theory? Okay, if you're an insider and you're posting anonymously on an image board, why on earth would you not, like, post something more curious? Like, okay, what if the reason that nobody died was because the person who was supposed to be killed escaped murder? Post that. See how crazy people go with that, right? They're like, holy shit. So there's actually a murder and someone survived, and you're like, someone tried to kill me last night. I escaped. I didn't get a look at their face. It might have been like this pink-haired chick with burn scars. And boom, you have like the internet doing your duty for you, doing your like well, I guess doing your work for you. But the police are probably police said not to share anything about the arson case, so I'd still say you survived a fucking attempted murder last night. Tell Shinjo you're like, I'm pretty sure they attempted to murder me last night. That's what I'd do. I'd be like, so I was trapped in like an alternate dimension where there was no one there except for the killer. I was literally, either I was standing there hallucinating for 5 minutes. It was like 10 minutes in my mind, but it was about 5 seconds in real life. Everyone disappeared, and I was attacked by like a killer. Like I was attacked by this pyromaniac. I hid, and then I heard a weird knocking at the door that shouldn't have been possible. I said, fuck it, opened it, and charged out at them, and my eyes just started bleeding like crazy. But I woke up, and nothing had changed. I was still in the real world. Like, wouldn't it be useful to tell your allies this? Oh well. Most people thought that the return of the New Generation madness was over now that nothing happened on the 23rd.
Oh, Miyashiro! 病院はもういいのか?
Oh, Miyashiro, you're done at the hospital then?
あ、おかげさまで異常なしだってさ。
They say I'm fine.
よかったね。
Ito and Sarika were both carrying lunchboxes of their own. Cruz had made their lunches this morning just like she'd made mine. How many extra lunchboxes do they have?
登校
Holy
するな
shit.
り部室に直行してランチとか。いいゴミ分だな、おい。
Still, pretty lucky you get to go straight to the club room and eat them the minute you arrive at school. Yeah, that's kind of nice, getting to skip half your school day, or all of it, because clubs are usually after school, right? Then again,
授業は
Saturdays
午
are
後
half
からで
days,
いいっ
right?
て言われたからさ。
They told me I could just go to afternoon classes.
それに、マップを見ながらいろいろ考えてみようと思って。
I wanted to take some time to look at the map and think, oh, they have a full day of classes on Saturdays. Okay.
これ以上何もするなって、今朝新庄さんに言われたろ。
Shinjo told us this morning not to do anything else, right? We told Shinjo there'd been another attack by the person we believed to be Senri. He demanded to know why we hadn't told him sooner. Then he insisted we never do anything so dangerous again. What do you mean? We literally hung out at a cafe? We hung out at our club room, the cafe, and then went home.
でも考えるくらいならいいだろう。
Doesn't hurt to think about it though, does it? I put the lid back on my lunch, having barely eaten any of it at all, and looked back at the map.
昨日僕たちはカフェラックスにいた。そこで事件が起こった。
We were at Cafe Lax last night, so they say Lax. Okay. That's where it
僕
happened.
の前に現れたのは以前襲ってきたあ
The
の
woman
女
I
だ。
saw was the one who attacked us before. Kurosado, yeah. Of course. Of course.
そしてその能力は
And she was a precog, yeah, of course. Do they expect us to forget this? It's literally like up there on the stickies.
ところがカフェラックス
It's
で僕を
literally
襲
already
ったのはパイロキネシスじゃなく別の能力だった。
It was a different
So-
power than pyrokinesis that was used on me at Lax. She showed me a delusion of being alone.
ってことはやっぱり南沢千里は一人で二つの能力を持ってるって推測が正しいのか
I mean,
な。
Senri has two powers after all.
いや、まだ確証は持てない。別の能力者が協力している可能性を否定できないし。
We don't know yet. We can't be sure another psychic isn't helping her. How close is the Alba clinic there? Is it like the heart symbol on the map? There's like two of them, right? There's this one right above the crucified picture and one right above the highway. Are one of those the Alba clinic? Like, I assume the M down by 317 is like a metro entrance? I'm kind of curious. They didn't really give us the legend for the map.
襲われた時の緊張のせいでタクがまぶたの血管を切っちゃって結局みんなで青葉寮へ移動したんだよね。
And then the veins in your eyelids burst from stress when you were attacked, and we all moved to Alpdorf.
ああ、僕はそこで父さんの診察を受けて、その後みんなで23日が過ぎるのを待ってた。
Yeah. Then Dad gave me an exam, and we waited for the 23rd to end.
そういえばさ、あの時副部長と有村なんか言い争いとかしてなかったか？なんだったっけ？
Weren't the vice president and Arimura arguing about something? What was that about again?
言い争い？
Arguing?
ん
I think I
そういえ
remember.
ば
Nona said she didn't believe Senri was the killer.
そうそう、のんちゃんがね、南沢千里さんは絶対に犯人じゃないって言ったんだよ。
Nonsense, Senri Misami-sawa definitely wasn't the killer.
猟奇殺人なんてできる子じゃないって言ってたな。昔親友だったからわかるって。
People can change a lot in 6 years. And everyone always says, I can't believe that guy was the serial killer. That's like the most generic line to say, right? You're like, oh man, I can't believe this guy was a killer. I had no clue my best friend was a serial killer. Oh, my husband killed like 15 people? I couldn't believe it. Burger said she wasn't the type of girl who could do that. She knew because they were friends.
でもさ、あの時に有村は副部長が嘘をついてるって指摘したんだよ。
These
あれっ
days,
てどういうことだと思う？
these days it feels like that serial killers don't have any subtlety. They're just too obvious. It's like everyone can see. It's like, oh, this guy is seriously troubled. And, he killed 10 people with a gun. Okay. Next mass shooting. Wow, that guy was seriously disturbed. That's interesting. And then Armor said, she was lying. What did she mean?
確かあの時、有村が嘘だと
Armor
指摘
said
し
it
た
was a
のは
lie. Was. Okay. It was a lie she saw her die.
思い出した。クルスは
There we go.
南沢千里が目の前で死ぬのを見たって
I
言
remember
ったんだ
Karus
けど、
said she saw Senri Namisawa die in front of her,
つまり
but
死
that
ん
was
だ
a
ところを
lie.
見てない。
In other words, Karus didn't see her die.
きっとのんちゃんはね、親友だった子が犯人扱いされてるのが許せなかったんだよ。それでとっさに嘘をついちゃったんだと思うんだ。
Sure, no one didn't like the way we were treating our best friend as a serial killer. She probably just came up with a lie real quick.
まあ確かに副部長の気持ちになってみりゃな。
Well, I can imagine how she feels.
そうだな。
You're right.
やっぱり南沢千里の話題はクルスがいるときは少し気を使った方がいいな。
Maybe I should be more careful about bringing up Senri when Carus is around. I stuck a paper up on the board.
そして問題はその後か。
And the problem is what happened after that. Yep.
アウバ医院の1階でユイが
On the first floor of the Alba Clinic, Yui,
ドアがノックされるのを聞いたんだよね。
she heard the knock. Now, I don't remember what they told Yui. I don't know how much Yui knows, if she knows about the psychic bullshit. If she doesn't know about the knocking sound, or about what the crazy girl looks like, the pyrokinetic looks like, that is freaking, that should be terrifying, because it means it's not in your head. She actually came to your place, and like, you're in some serious danger, right? You heard the knock, right? It was the same thing I'd heard at Lax, that woman's knock. And Yui had seen a terrifying sight.
僕でさえカフェであれだけ恐怖したんだ。何も知らないユイはさぞかし怖かっただろうな。
She didn't know anything. Yep, she had no clue about any of that, and she's literally seen everything they're concerned about. Even I was scared at the cafe. It must have been hard for Yui since she didn't know anything.
かわいそう。
Poor thing, yeah. Fortunately, Yui didn't open the door. She'd quickly shut it and locked it and saved us at the last minute. If she'd opened the door all the way, though... Wait,
いや、待て
no, wait. I looked up from the map towards the ceiling. Something seemed very wrong.
どうしたのタク？
Wait, what's wrong? What's wrong, Taku?
なんか思い出したのか？
Did you remember something? Sarika and Ito looked at me confused.
なんか引っかかった。ものすごく大変なことを見落としてる気が
Something's
する。
bugging me. It feels like we missed something really important. What did you miss?
え？
What?
ん？
Even Kazuki was surprised enough she turned away from ESO2 to look at me.
大変なこと？
What did you miss that's important? The knocking comes to people. The knocking doesn't mean you're in a delusion, necessarily.
ああ、昨夜はいろんなことがあって。
Or it's not. She might have gone after someone who is
僕も気
non-psychic
が動
there.
転してて気づかなかったけど。
So much happened last night with Arimura freaking out and me panicking. I didn't notice, but yeah, what was I thinking right now? If Yui had opened the door,
当然、これまでの事件から考えれば、ユイも被害者だ。
in all cases we'd seen so far, that meant she'd end up a victim. But that also means
それってつまり
that means I looked at the map again.
前にも話したけど、今回の事件には一つ明らかに
Is
共通
Yui
する特
not?
徴
Is
があっ
Yui
て。
psychic or is she not psychic? I think it might hint as to that, right? I've said this before. All these cases have one thing in
とい
common,
うと？
which is
それは被害者だ。
the victims.
最
Okay.
初の事件、こっちみんな。
The victims are all
被害者と
psychic.
その特徴
Yes, I know
は
that.
次は
victim in the
音漏れた。
Don't look at me case.
被害
And
者
the
とそ
leaky
の
noise
特徴は
case.
僕が目撃した回
And
転
the
で
revolving dead
そ
case.
して学園祭で起きた
And
国
the
産
Gus
です。
Swan death. The
被
murder
害
that
者と
happened
そ
at
の
the
特徴
school.
は
You're dragging it out.
事件のターゲットになっている被害者は
All of them were
全員
psychics.
能
No
力
one
者だ。
else was attacked.
それ以外は襲われ
That
ていない
means. That could mean anything, right? It could mean she's not psychic because she would have recognized the Oh no, they didn't have the swords out already.
だからこそ
Choose room.
僕や有村山添はずっと警戒していたわけだし、事実カフェラックスでは僕がターゲットにされた。
That's why Arimura, Yamazoe, and I were always so cautious. In fact, at Lax, I was the target.
でもアウバ寮に現れた南沢千里が襲撃しようとしたのは
But Senri, when she appeared at Albadorf, tried to attack. It's like it's a joke quiz. Alright.
そう、
That's right, Yui.
ユイだ。
Yui was the target. Senri Minamisawa tried to attack equals psychic? That is my question. Does this imply that she's psychic? Or does it imply the opposite? I think the right choice would be to instantly summon your sword and ask if she can see it. Be like, hey. And you don't even need to ask her a question. You can actually just draw your sword, swing it at her, and if she panics that you're swinging something at her or even reacts, you just be like, okay, you're psychic, problem solved. That's the right way, right? I stood up in shock. It could imply this, or it could imply that she went for you and didn't attack because she isn't psychic. There's two possibilities here. She knows you're in there, she was trying to bait you and got the wrong person. Can't be right.
ゆいちゃんもってこと？
Does that mean Yui's a psychic too?
マジかよ。
Serious? It was far too late for it to make a difference now. Suddenly I felt a cold pillar of ice was pressed against my back. I was certain she'd come to the clinic in search of me, Arimura, or Uki. And that Yui was only caught up at all because she was unlucky enough to answer the door. But what if I was wrong? What if there was a reason she was after Yui? I sighed. It was hard for me to really believe.
これから確かめてくれ。あいつが本当に能力者なのかどうか。
I'm gonna go see if she's really a psychic. Yeah, just do a quick test, check if she's psychic. Then you can know if it's a case of mistaken identity, the killer aiming for you, or what's going on. Pretty safe. I'm gonna see if she's really psychic. Just, well, he can't draw his sword, but if he can conjure it, it'd be fine.
悪い。
Oh,
起こ
sorry.
しちゃったな。
Did I wake you?
あれ
We're back at the...
タクルに学校は？
Oh, Takaru, shouldn't you be at school? We're doing important school activities. We're just off campus.
早退した。お前のこと気になってさ。
I came home early. I was worried about you, of course. This works. It's true, too. The best part is it's true. 100%. You're being silly. Yui sat up from the bed and smiled a tired smile. Must have felt dizzy for a moment because she leaned forward and grabbed her forehead. Her face was still pale and the IV looked like it was painful.
いいからそのまま寝てろって。
It's fine, you can stay lying down.
でも
But
クレスに言いつけるぞ。
I'll tell Karus on you if you don't. Those are always the best words to use on Yui. Threatened her with Karus. She frowned for a second, then laid down and pulled up the covers.
有村は？
Where's Arimura? The other bed in the exam room was empty.
お昼ごろ新庄さんって刑事さんが来て二人で出かけていった。ま
Around
た
lunch.
後で来る
Ah,
って。
okay. Around lunchtime, a detective named Shinjo came and they left. She said she'd be back.
ふん。
Okay. Shinjo was probably asking her about last night.
あいつ、もう体は大丈夫なのか？
Is she feeling okay?
元気だったみたい。
She looked okay, yeah?
そっか。
Okay,
タ
good.
クル兄にね、ありがとうって伝えてくれって。
Told me to tell you thanks.
え？
Oh. My eyes went wide as I looked at my foster sister. Arimura said thanks?
何かの聞き間違いだろ？
You probably misheard her.
そんなことないよ。いい人だよ、有村さん。タクル兄にもちゃんと感謝してると思うけど。
Arimura's a good person. I think she's grateful to you. I sure
聞
hope
き
so.
間
That's
違いじ
awesome.
ゃなきゃ、ただの気の迷いだな。
If you didn't hear it wrong, she must have just gone temporarily crazy. I pulled the stool up to Yui's bed and sat down. And then I watched her as she lay under the covers. It might have been the first time I looked at her like this, come to think of it. Did she have some kind of power? It just seemed hard to believe. Maybe I was mistaken? I hoped I was. People were saying the killings were over and that the return of New Generation Madness was at its end. But the killer still hadn't been caught. The idea of the killer being after not just me, Arimura and Uki, but also Yui was too scary to contemplate.
何？どうしたの？
What's wrong? Come on, summon the sword. Just figure out the truth. You don't need to explain. Okay, this is like the easiest thing. You don't need to explain. You go, I'm gonna try something. Snap your fingers, conjure the sword, and be like, what's this? And if she's like a wall, you're like, okay, we're fine. Or that's what you do because you can't hold it. If Arimura was here, you'd say, Arimura, take a swing at her. And if she's like, come again, and swings, and you're like, and nothing happens, you're like, okay, nothing happened. And if she's like, oh my god, it's a fucking sword, then, you know, she can see it, right? Right? Because it doesn't actually do anything if it phases through you and she's not trying to do anything. Anyway. I heard a very uncomfortable voice as I tried to figure out the best way to explain things. You must have noticed I was staring at her silently. My sister was looking at me in confusion. Well, you don't need to explain things. If she doesn't see anything, no need for an explanation.
あら、タクル。
Oh, Tucker.
おかえりなさい。
Welcome back.
まだお帰りなさいっていう時間じゃないでしょ？
Not time for him to be back, is it? Bruce was standing at the door holding a tray with a bowl of rice porridge. Uki was next to her with a pair of spare pajamas. And our character is currently missing his opportunity. Will he entirely miss this opportunity to determine if his sister is a target? Come on, man. Bruce put the tray next to the bed and looked at me concerned.
学校早退したの？どこか具合でも？
You left school early? Are you not feeling well?
ごめん、そうじゃ
It's
な
not
く
it.
て
Something's
ちょ
bothering
っ
me.
と気になることがあってさ。
気になること？
Something's bothering you? Even if Yui was a psychic, I wasn't sure if I should tell Karus about it. Yep, you just lost your opportunity, but hey, she'd just worry more. But she cared about her sister, I knew that. It's probably better if she knew everything.
どうすれば確かめられるか。
What's the best way to say it? The best way to say it is to test if she's a psychic before you introduce her to it. Holy shit, man, it's not hard. Conjure sword. Step 1, conjure sword. Step 2, verify if she reacts to it. No need for explanation if she doesn't react. The only person who's going to react is Uki. And she'll probably just raise an eyebrow or some shit because she's probably knows that it can't actually do damage. What's the best way to say it? And then I remembered the method Kunosato had used on me. I glanced at Uki. You probably wouldn't like it, but it was the only way I could think of.
なあ、ユイ。
Hey, Yui.
ゆうべのことをあんまり思い出したくないと思うけどさ。
I know you probably don't want to remember a lot about last night, but...
有村とそこにいる山添が手に何か持っているのを見なかったか？
Did you see Arimura and Yamazoe holding something in their hands? Why is he asking in past tense? Come on, man. Eh? Chris and Uki were shocked too.
何かって？
This is the worst way to do it. You could have just conjured it yourself and been like, what am I holding in my hand? And if she's like, I don't know, a pair of keys? Like, you reach into your pocket, one hand, other hand, conjure sword. You don't need to hold it. You just need to put it near you. And you're like, what's in my hand? I guess you can't reach it, right? But like, oh, come on, man.
二人は剣のようなものを
Did
持
you
って
see
いた
them
んじゃ
holding
ない
things that look like swords?
剣。
This is the worst way to do this. You even have one of them near you. Just
ねえ、タクル。あなた、何を言ってるの？
Tucker, what are you saying? First grabbed me by the arm. She couldn't see the D sword herself, but she knew exactly what I was asking.
ユイ、そんなの見てないわよ
But
ね。
you didn't see anything like that, right? Right?
見て
No,
ない。
I didn't
知らない。
Yeah, great. Yui must have been surprised by Carusa's sudden outburst. It was obvious she was telling a lie. I could see from the look on her face she thought she'd seen something she wasn't supposed to see.
山添、ごめん。お前が嫌なこと頼んでもいいか？
Yamazoe, I'm sorry. Can I ask you to do something I know you don't want to do?
もしもユイがそうなら
If Yui is one, we need to protect her until the bad guy's caught, just like I'm protecting you and Arimura.
僕が守らないといけないから。
Yuki was surprised, but she seemed willing to help her old friend. She put the pajamas on the bed and stretched her hand into empty air.
ゆいさん、見ていてね。
Yui, watch carefully, okay?
あの、
What's going on?
ウキちゃん、
Don't! Chris let go of my arm and grabbed onto Yui as if she was trying to stop her from showing it to her.
クリス、
Chris, I'm sorry. We need to know before
手
it's
遅れ
too
になっ
late,
てからじゃ
so...
遅いんだ。だから。ほら、見えるだろ、ユイ。
You can see what's in Yamazoe's hands, right, Yui? Okay, we're getting a full profile of it. This is like a fucking Death Knight sword, I swear, right? It's like if someone told you this was like a Black Knight, like a Final Fantasy 14 Black Knight greatsword, you'd be like, yeah, I believe that. If you were like, this is a cool weapon from WoW, you'd be like, that's super edgy for her character. Holy shit. Oh yeah, it also looks like Gramp's sword from Grand Order. That's true too. Yeah, the resident edgelord sword, you know, giant ass skull motif, bone or horn. The split double, it doesn't actually look too bad. Uki slowly drew it out of thin air. As it shone with a light no normal person would seen, It was the weapon that connected reality to the Dirac Sea and its ocean of negative energy, the D-Sword. Die-Sword, D-Sword, whatever you want to call it. It was obvious Yui's eyes were following Yuki's sword. You can see it. Yep, you can see it, Yui. Can you see it? Yui looked like she was about to cry and she nodded slowly.
山添、もういい。ありがとう。
Yamazoe, that's enough. Thanks. The D-Sword disappeared from Yuki's hands. D-Sword? Die-Sword? I don't know. There was nothing left but an awkward silence. This can't be happening. I was right. Yui was a psychic, and Senri Minamisawa had almost killed her last night. So she was like 2 seconds from death. Good job. At least he got through it. He actually got... I'm glad that his actual first test was not incredibly stupid. He's like, someone who can actually conjure this thing in their hands do it, but man. It could have been a little bit better. Alright, so... You didn't screw up. We just had one person surviving.
この匂い、どこかで。
I know this smell. This was the first thing Shinjo thought as he ducked under the crime scene tape and went inside the 3rd floor condo. He knew this smell. Or from where?
あ、そうだ。ニューヨークで。
Oh, that's right, New York. Come again. So, it smells like New York. I'm gonna be honest, the only smell I remember from New York is the smell of cigarettes. Because fucking everybody on New York streets smokes. Because they're not allowed smoking in the buildings. And they just stand outside there. And it's like, you can't do anything other than get secondhand smoke just by walking like 2 blocks in New York. The entire place smells like smoke if you're outside. Like half the places smell like... It's a bit better in like Central Park or like away from people, but I swear to God, like just walking down the streets, it feels like half the time it smells like smoke. I don't know how many of you guys have been to New York, but there are a lot of people. When I went to New York, there were a lot of people smoking cigarettes on the streets. If you walked anywhere crowded, it smelled like smoke. You'd have to go somewhere with like food where you could smell the restaurant food, or like get away from the crowds to find somewhere that didn't smell like that. And then, like, if there was a lot of traffic, obviously it smells like cars. It smells like gasoline. Or like motor vehicle. You know that smell, like running cars. Alright. That's right, New York, okay. When he was training in America, a local colleague had taken him to a cheap steakhouse. The waiter had brought him a disgusting grilled lamb steak. The smell was a mix of rotting animal blood and burnt fat. He hadn't even taken a single bite. Damn, that bad? Shit. And that was precisely the smell that filled the room right now. The source of the stench was the middle of the room on top of the dinner table. The forensics people must have finished their job because it already had a sheet placed over it and was just waiting to be carried out to the corner. Shinjo put his hands together for a moment in silent prayer, then flipped up the sheet. Oh boy, here we go. You guys ready to see the next murder victim? The second he saw it, he yanked the handkerchief out of his pocket and forced it into his mouth to stop him from throwing up. He knew it was disrespectful to the dead, but he couldn't help it.
ご苦労様です、新庄先輩。
Good evening, Shinjo. Okay, I can see, hello, I'm just gonna like it. I can see what looks like a rebar. That looks like a rebar on the right of the screen by the random Tokyo police guy's chest. Looks like rebar sticking into something. A foot, a head, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, the restaurant he visited kind of sucked, but obviously there are shitty restaurants in any city, so it is what it is. That's actually impressively bad, though. Like, I don't think I've ever been served a steak that I looked at and just was like, oh. Like, I've had some steaks that I felt were, like, too tough. I've had some steaks that were, like, mediocre, but I've never had one where I looked at it and was like, nah. Then again, I don't usually go to super seedy restaurants, I'll be honest. If it looks too sketchy, I'm not gonna go in there. So, whatever. I don't mind. His friend took him there, maybe it had something he liked. Like, sometimes there are restaurants that serve mediocre food and they have like one good dish. And so, like, locals like the place. Or you'll find like one thing you like and everything else kind of meh. So maybe his friend took him there and was like, oh, I like this. And he's like, I'm not in the mood for that, so I'll try this other thing. And was like, oh, this is crap. Anyway, I don't really take it as an attack on anyone's particular food. Or any particular food. Anyway. So this guy's just casually like, good evening, Shinjo. He looked up and saw a younger detective talking to the forensics people. The detective lacked his usual energy. This is probably the worst case he'd ever seen. Shinjo didn't want to look bad in front of the younger kid, so he forced the handkerchief away from his mouth.
ご苦労。ガイシャの身元ははっきりしたかい?
Good evening. Did we find out who the body is?
それがですね、衣服を着用していない上に遺体の損壊が激しくて、今のところ確実なのは10代から30代の女性ってことしか。
The body's in bad shape. She's not wearing clothes. All we know for sure right now is she's a woman aged anywhere from her teens to her 30s. So he said it smelled like a steakhouse, so this person was burnt? He could see hints of the charred flesh that indicated the body once belonged to a woman. The face was so burnt there was no way to distinguish any features. Even stranger, there was what looked like a metal stick coming out of her mouth. Oh, yeah, it was a mouth. I called it. I was like, this is a head, right? I was guessing head. Foot seems a little bit weird. The angles are wrong. That was a head. All right. The rod came all the way out to below her abdomen. All the way out below her abdomen like a skewer used to cook a kebab.
10日ほど前でしょうか。近くの工事現場から鉄筋が盗まれたっていう届けが出てるそうです。
About 10 days ago, we got a report about a piece of rebar being stolen from a nearby construction site. The detective flipped open his notepad.
鉄筋って言うと、あれか。コンクリートの壁に使う?
Rebar, the stuff they use in concrete wall?
ええ。ガイシャの口から出てるのがそれのようです。
Yep, that's what's coming out of the victim's mouth. It looks like rebar. It's pretty easy to tell what that stuff. Pretty easy to tell what it looks like, but if you don't know what it is, that's probably handy.
そういえば昔こんな映画があったな。
I think I saw this in an old movie once. It was an old 80s horror flick he'd seen with some friends in college. The movie was about a bunch of travelers who got lost in the jungle and eaten by cannibals. In one scene, someone had been cooked like this. There was one more thing. This incident reminded him of a number of others he'd seen recently. The return of the new generation madness.
まさかこれも?
Is this another one?
いや、でも23日は。
It's not the 23rd anymore. It doesn't matter when they were killed. You need to know time of death. Time of death could tell you if this is relevant. This is one of those scenes where you're like, does it matter? The body is clearly not dead now. Not the 23rd anymore. On October 23rd, the killer had spent the whole day going after Takuru Miyashiro and his friends, which meant the target had to be one of them.
新庄さん?
Shincho?
悪い。
Sorry.
続けてくれ。
Shinjo put the sheet back on the body again and made another short prayer.
ガイシャの身元は未確認と言いましたが、自分の意見としては、おそらくこの部屋の住人と見て間違いないと思います。
We don't have an ID on the victim, but I think it's safe to assume it's the owner of this room. That's not a bad assumption. That's not a bad assumption. I like that. I'm also curious about the damage to the room. It looks like this lamp is hanging out in... Okay, considering the left half of the room is in pristine condition, well organized, extremely clean, having a lamp hanging at an awkward angle that looks like it's burnt with some shit hanging out of the ceiling when you can see the rest of the ceiling on the left side is perfectly fine is a little bit suspicious. It's probably part of the murder scene.
Haida Riko-san だったな。
Riko Haida, right?
はい。
Right. He flipped through his notebook and relayed to Shinjo what he'd learned from the condo's manager.
年齢18歳、独身で一人暮らし。職業は派遣のテレフォンサポートってことになってますが、派遣会社に確認を取ろうとしたところ、会社自体がもう存在していませんでした。
18 years old, single, lived alone, supposedly worked for a tech support company out of a temp agency. When I tried to call the agency, they didn't exist.
倒産したか、あるいは 水商売のためのダミー会社って可能性もあるな。
Either they went out of business or it's a front for a prostitution ring.
その線については今表せてます。
We're looking into it. Okay.
で、会社が彼女だと思われる根拠は？
What makes you think she's the victim? Shinjo took out his own notebook and started to copy down the things he thought were important.
はい。契約以来、どうも本人しかこの部屋へ入った形跡がないようなんです。
Well, one thing, there's no sign of anyone but her coming to this room ever since she moved in.
ん？
I'm
鑑
sorry?
識からの報告では、室内から出た指紋や足跡は本人とおぼしきものだけで、不自然に拭き取った跡なども見られません。
Forensics tells me all the fingerprints and footprints in the room belong to her. There's no sign anyone wiped them away.
もちろん、それ以外の指紋もないわけじゃないんですが、どれも古いもので、おそらく以前の住人や業者だと思われます。鑑識も今回の件からは除外できるだろうという意見です。
Of course, there are some other fingerprints, but they're all old. They probably belong to the former occupants or a maintenance worker. Forensics thinks they can be ruled out.
また、玄関の靴跡も会社のものしか見当たりません。
The only shoe marks at the entrance belong to her too.
遺体発見時、玄関には2つの鍵の他に内側からチェーンロックがかかっていました。窓もしっかり施錠されていたので、本人に間違いないかと。
When we found the body, both doors were locked from the inside and the windows were locked too, which means it has to be her. Okay, easy question for you. Is this a locked room dilemma or not? And the answer is it probably shouldn't be, because I don't think it would be locked room, because you could just, the front door you could lock, right? How does it lock room? Yeah. What if it's like a marked person? The killer's ability works like a mark, and then at the designated time you die? That's possible. Although, we don't think this is the person, right? Are we certain? I don't think this is Minami Sawa, right? So the doors were locked on the inside, the windows are locked too. It has to be her. Windows typically have interior locks. How would you determine if the door was locked from the inside? You have like one choice? Because door locks can normally be locked from outside. That's how you get into your house in the first place. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. You could just pick the lock fairly reasonably. Yeah, female in fire, maybe. It could be Minami Sawa. Like, I'm curious why they think you can't get in. Why the doors were locked. Like, you can't just open the door and then lock it later. Maybe it had like one of those bolt locks. Maybe she killed herself via delusion. I mean, if we remember the first guy, he didn't even realize he was hacking his own arm to pieces, right? He thought he was cutting up some cheese that was durable, and like obviously, you know, I'll admit, you know, maybe he wasn't paying attention and cut himself once, but you don't like cut your arm into chunks without noticing. Because he clearly like felt the pain once the delusion was over. So it's possible like hypnosis or some bullshit happened. Man, obviously we're dealing with psychics now, so it could just be mind control. Could just be mind control, let's be honest. It could be mind control, and it like maybe breaks when you interact with someone. We'll see. There could be like restrictions on the mind control, like it has to affect everyone. It has to affect everyone you're interacting with or something like that for it to be real or something. Alright, so they say it has to be her because it looks like a sealed room. Shinjo felt a little like he was gonna faint. So how did the killer get in and do this? It would take serious equipment to roast a whole person. You couldn't get that in here without leaving any traces. The younger detective must have been thinking the same thing.
これで普通の死に方をしててくれれば自殺ってことで新庄さんの手をお借りすることもなかったんですけど。
If she died in a more normal way, you could write off as a suicide without having to bother you, but yeah, it's a really strange death because here's the thing. I don't know about you, but most people probably don't, if you're gonna off yourself, you probably don't like take a rebar and shove it through your entire torso, right? and then set yourself on fire. Like, just pick one method of death. It might be Minamizawa, though. Like, if there's a low chance, it's hard to tell. If you're burnt to the crisp, it's really hard to tell. Is she died in more normal way? Yeah, okay. We already read that line, so I'm not gonna repeat it. There's no normal way to die. There are ways that people commonly die, Takeshi. This one isn't one of them. Sorry, sir.
1階のエントランスに防犯カメラがあったよな。
There's a security camera on the first floor, right?
ええ。部下が管理人室で録画のチェックを始めていますが、今のところは何も。
One of my men is looking at the footage in the manager's room right now. They haven't found anything yet.
そうか。
Shinjo looked at the victim and then at the forensics people. They were frowning as they talked.
あの様子だと死亡時刻の推定もまだ無理そうだな。
So this could be Minamizawa. This could also be someone she killed. But it's strange because she was chasing us wholeheartedly. From the look of it, we won't be able to determine the time of death.
はい。解剖に回してみないとなんとも。
Ah, that's important. From the look of it, we won't be able to determine time of death. They might have already been killed by the time Minamizawa showed up. Like, they could have been killed like half a day ago.
火災報知器が作動していればすぐに分かったんでしょうが。
Not without an autopsy. If the smoke alarms went off, we would have known right away, but the two of them looked at the useless devices on the ceiling.
壊されていたって。
They're broken, I'm told.
はい。
Unusual. This place is very well kept. Apart from the place where the victim's killed, everything looks good. Why would both the smoke detectors fail?
誰に？あ、いや、
Who broke them?
室内には彼女の指紋しかないんだったな。ということは、本人か？
If hers are the only fingerprints in here, then it has to be her, right? Why would she do that? Shinjo couldn't make any sense of it.
というか、新庄さん。俺、焼死の現場ってのは初めてなんですけど、こんな風に燃えるもんなんですか？
Good question. Anyway, Shinjo, I've never seen someone burnt to death. Do they normally burn like this?
わからん。こんなの俺だって初めてだ。
Idea, I've never seen one either. That's a somewhat morbid thought, but is there an unusual burn pattern? Or is I'm sure, not a great thing to think about, but I'm sure you could look at the body and determine if they died to extreme heat or like a moderate heat, right? Based on how badly burned they were. Right? Probably could.
鑑識の連中がね、全員首をひねってるんです。
Forensics all say they
どうやっ
can't
て
figure
燃え
it
たかわからないって。ガソリンや灯油を使ったってこんな風にはならないって。
out. Even gasoline couldn't do this. Interesting. So, she didn't pour half a can of gasoline on herself and light herself up. I don't know if it's Minamizawa. I think it's someone Minamizawa might have killed, or someone who was killed in this method, but I don't think it would make sense for Minamizawa to die to fire. It'd be kind of weird. Like, the burning might actually be I'm curious if they determine if the burning is post-mortem. That's what I'd like to know. Did she die to the rebar, or did she die to the fire, or was it a combination of both? Like, curious, because that could tell you what how things went down, right? And since what's-his-face, one of their colleagues is going through the video evidence, they should very quickly be able to tell if it's Minamizawa, right? In theory, because they have a couple cops who identified her. So if they're like, it might be Minamizawa, if we send someone, they look at the footage. If the person they've identified as the room owner is also Minamizawa, then we know it's probably the body of Minamizawa. And she might have burned herself. Yeah, Minamizawa did have burns on herself. That doesn't mean she burns herself with her ability. Remember, like, people's abilities are correlated to what they need. So, for example, if we think about this, Takuru wanted to be able to move things because it was like a struggle for him to even move and get things across the room. So he got telekinesis. Obviously, Arimura desperately needed to find the truth about something. So, what if you were stuck in a building that was on fire? Would you not okay, let's imagine. You're in a building that's on fire, and you're like trapped, you're gonna fucking die. Because, you know, there's fire everywhere, you're gonna pass out from smoke. You get your powers. Your first power, and the powers seem to be correlated to the scenario in which you need your powers. So if she's trapped after the earthquake, the flash happens, and she gets her potential power, it might just give her pyrokinesis, because if she doesn't have pyrokinesis, or like teleportation or something, she's instantly gonna die, okay? I think that makes sense. So it's possible that she's like literally on fire when she gets her pyrokinesis, and uses her pyrokinesis to take her off fire. Does that make sense? Like, she could have gotten that from her injuries. She could have gotten that because of the scenario she got her powers in. So it's not clear. It's not clear if, like, using her powers actually burns her. Yeah, so she could have killed someone or it could be her. It's kind of like what you feel like you believe at this point. There was no smell of gasoline anyway. The only stench was of burning meat.
俺前にテレビで見たんですけど
I saw
い
this
や
on TV once,
やっ
but
ぱいいです
oh, never mind. He's gonna suggest spontaneous combustion, right?
言えよ、最後まで。
Say it.
怒りませんか
You won't get mad?
内容による。
Depends on what you say.
世界の心霊現象スペシャルとかいう番組だったかな
He did it, dude.
そこで人体の発火現象ってのが
It was a special on psychic phenomena around the world. One section was on spontaneous human combustion.
やめろ、バカ。
Stop it, stop it. Shinjo poked the younger detective's head lightly. The detective apologized, but Shinjo hadn't stopped him because it was too unbelievable to be true. Yeah, Vlov's power hurts him, right? Yeah. Well, it seems like she can at least move, even if she's moving with a limp. She stopped him for the opposite. He'd stopped him for the opposite reason. He was probably right. Shinjo concurs pyrokinesis. That's fair. I think that's the conclusion most people reading this story would have come to immediately when you see someone burned to a crisp. They're like, okay, is that body Senri, or did Senri make the body? Which meant he didn't want rumors flying around, even inside the police department.
パイロキネシスと言ったな。
I think they called it pyrokinesis. Great. Mio Kunosato, Hine Arimura, and Takuru Miyashiro had all used the word repeatedly. It was the power to set things on fire with your mind, and they said the woman that was after Miyashiro and his friends, Sanri Minamisawa, had it. Was this Riko Haida woman attacked by a pyrokinetic then? He came back to the same conclusion he'd reached earlier, but soon shook his head.
それでも説明できない。
It doesn't explain it either. See, what doesn't explain it is the rebar. They have never commented on, like, her using anything other than the fucking magic fire. Why would there be a rebar here? Unless you're trying to hide the cause of death. How'd she get the rebar used to skewer the woman inside the room, and how'd she get it skewered? Exactly. Shinjo looked at the large window that dominated the room's east side. The curtain was open, and you could see the chaotic city of Shibuya outside. If the building was taller, the view would be impressive, but from this height you can see the dirty backsides of surrounding condos and multi-purpose buildings. It was hard to call it a nice view. It probably made the rent a lot cheaper, though, he thought to himself as he began to examine the glass window. If the killer used some kind of power to get the rebar in from the building across the street, this window would have been shattered. There wasn't a scratch on it, though.
こいつは俺が一人で考えてもどうにもならないな。
I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere with myself here. He hated to say it, but he needed a specialist like Kunosato. For now, he decided to focus on gathering information.
新庄さん
Shinjo.
Eh?
Eh? Light tap on his back brought him back to reality.
防犯カメラをチェックしてた部下から連絡です会社の顔がはっきり映ってる映像を見つけました
I got word from the guy looking at the security camera footage. He found a clear shot of the victim's face. Well, here we go. We're gonna find out, guys. Is this?
そうか、行こ
He did? Let's go. When he finally got out of the room, he felt like he could breathe again. Disrespectful to the dead or not, he took a deep breath when he got outside. He went to the first floor and looked at the video on the monitor in the manager's room.
管理人の話だと灰田理子さんは必ずカメラから顔を背けるようにしていたそうなんですが
He said Riko Haida always hid her face from the
う。撮
camera.
られたくない理由でも
Was there a reason she didn't want to be videotaped?
渋谷地震の時に顔に火傷を負ったとかで人に見られるのを極端に嫌ってたらしいですね
Ooh, it's Minamisawa. Fuck. Her face got burned during the Shibuya earthquake, he said, and she hated people seeing her.
ああ、それで
Oh. That's why.
ただこの時は一瞬ですが偶然映ってしまったようです
but this time he happened to get a glimpse of her. Timestamp on the screen indicated it was late at night on the 12th of October. So he's really been forward.
それって確か
October 12th? Isn't that? I remembered writing the day down, so he flipped open his notebook.
ああそうだ宮代君たちが初めて南沢千里に襲われたっていう夜だな
Alright, that was the first day Miyashiro and Arimura were attacked by Senri.
先輩、ハイダリコさん来ました。
Here's Riko Haida. Here we go, guys. Looks like she's dead. He quickly turned his eye back to the screen. In the video, the door to the entrance opened and a woman came staggering inside. Are you fucking serious? Wait a minute. How did she use her powers if there's no one nearby to witness her? There has to be a witness for her to use her powers, right? Perhaps her leg didn't work right, or maybe she was injured because he could tell she was dragging it. I mean, we don't need to be told this. The guy's gonna need to be told this. Her hair covered her face, making it impossible to read her expression.
おい
Wait, is that...
あれって
Yeah. Shinjo and the other detective gasped. Riko Haida was holding a long object in her hand, something like a staff, and using it to support herself. It looked exactly like the iron rebar that was currently skewering her body.
まさか自分で持ち込んだ鉄筋で串刺しに
She was skewered on the rebar she brought in herself? It was just a recording, but Shinjo found himself holding his breath nervously as if he was watching live footage. She walked right by the camera. It did seem like she wanted to avoid showing her face, but she must have tripped on something when she was right under the camera because she staggered. When she did, her hair flew backwards and he could finally get a glimpse of her face. Shinjo's eyes went wide.
似てる
It looks just like her. All her features matched the description. They were identical to the composite sketch based on a description by someone who'd barely survived an attack by this woman.
そんな
Oh wait, this
こい
is...
つ
The girl in the video was...
大丈夫よユイ。安全になるまでずっと一緒にいてあげるから。
Don't worry, I'll stay with you every minute till it's safe. Okay.
ほら、元気出して。
Come on, cheer up, okay? There's no way this is badly. Alright, so... I don't think she's the type to kill herself. I'm gonna be straight. I don't think she's the type to kill herself, so she got murdered 100%. Yui nodded. She was still pale. Not only had she gone through a lot last night, but she just found out she was a psychic. She wasn't looking good at all. I explained to her what I thought she needed to know, and then told her that no matter what, she must never be alone from now on. It was true, the return of the new generation madness had come to a temporary halt when Senri Minamisawa hadn't been able to kill anyone on the 23rd. But no matter what the rest of the world said, it felt far too early to declare this whole thing over.
でもね、こんな時にこんなことを言うのは変かもしれないけど、お姉ちゃん、ちょっとだけワクワクしてるんだ。
If we consider something like, the text messages we've seen going back and forth, since Minamisawa seems to have been trying to kill us, or someone adjacent to it, like Minamisawa and the mind control team, we'll call it, they've been trying to kill us, like they specified us in the text messages. I'm thinking she might have been working with the killer, but she got killed by the actual guy who does the real killing. Because obviously her power is just pyrokinesis. And like we know, she can't use her powers if she's not in the room. If no one else is in the room, right? She has to project onto someone else for it to be real. I shouldn't say this. I'm actually a little excited. What are you excited about? Seer powers? It's kind of cool.
ユイと一緒にお風呂に入ったり、寝たりするの久しぶりなんだもの。
It's been so long since I got to take baths with you or sleep next to you.
ユイったらいつの間にか大人になっちゃって、すっかりユウとのお姉ちゃんになっちゃったでしょ。
At some point you started growing up and acting like Yuta's big sister all the time, right?
たまには私の妹に戻って甘えてくれてもいいのに、なんて思ってたから。
Something her accomplice might have killed her to maintain the pattern of the new generation murders. Sometimes I just want you to be my little sister. Okay.
やだもう。
Jeez. Yui smiled just a little.
ユウトはどうするって？
What about Yuta?
父さんの部屋にしばらく居候。
I'll stay in Dad's room for a while.
この部屋で一緒に寝ていいって言ったんだけどね。なんか恥ずかしいみたい。私は別に構わないのに。
I told him he could sleep in here with us, but I guess that's too embarrassing for him. I told him I didn't mind, but
ユウはのの姉が初恋の人だから。あ、これ内緒ね。絶対ね。
you're his first love, Nono. Oh, keep that a secret, okay? No matter what.
それは光栄だわ。ねえねえタクル、頑張らないとユウトに私を取られちゃうわよ。
I'm honored. Hey, Chikaru, you hear that? You better try harder or steal my heart away. Does Chikaru care? Sometimes Karus would say things like that just to enjoy my reaction. Lately, I'd gotten better at not reacting the way she wanted me to. I simply snorted and she puffed up her cheeks and pouted.
で、ユイの能力なんだけど、本当に自覚とかないのか？
So about your power, you really have no clue what it is? A small smile vanished from Yui's face.
そんなの急に言われても。
I don't know.
自分の身の回りで特別なことが起こったりとかさ。
Does anything special seem to happen around you?
特別って言うと、ユウのことくらいかな。
Special, maybe with you?
どんな？
Like?
ユウが嘘ついてもすぐにわかるとか。
Like I know when he's lying and stuff?
それは超能力じゃないわね。お姉ちゃんなら普通よ。私だってタクルのついた嘘なんて簡単に見抜けるもの。
That's not a psychic power. Every big sister can do that. I can always tell when Takuru's lying for one thing.
だからそこで僕を引き合いに出すなよ。
Don't bring me into this. Yeah, it's true though. This time my don't react skill failed me. Gotta work on ranking that up, buddy. Bruce chuckled, finally satisfied. Damn it. I felt annoyed for a moment, then I realized that Karus was trying to send me a message.
なるべくユイを怖がらせないであげて。
Ah, the message is try not to scare her if you can. Alright, alright. That's what she seemed to be saying. Yeah, she was right. A normal girl like you would never be able to handle knowing there might be a serial killer after her. She's not normal, she's psychic. Deal with it. Bruce was deliberately pretending to be adult. She's also like the most adult 12-year-old you've ever met, so she can handle some things. Bruce is deliberately trying to be cheerful, I see. I realized my tone had probably been too harsh and relaxed it.
他にはないかな。
Anything else?
どんなことでもいいんだけど。
Doesn't matter what.
他に？
Anything? Yui looked down and thought for a moment.
そういえば、本当に時々だけど、ユウの声が聞こえるような気がする。
You know, this doesn't happen very often, but sometimes I feel like I can hear Yu's voice.
声？
His voice. So is this telepathy or like super hearing? Let's find out.
例えば、ユウが忘れ物をして困ってたり、怪我をして泣いてたり、そういう良くない声が聞こえてきて。
Like when he forgot something and he's in trouble, or he's hurt and he's crying. When bad things happen, I hear it like that. So, like
それ
telepathy.
で、
Okay.
急いでユウの学校へ行くと、本当に怪我をしてたりするの。
Alright, so it's with specific people over long distances. We should probably not classify it as standard telepathy. Maybe as psychic bond? Or directed telepathy, I guess. Oh, you'll hurry to use school and it'll turn out he really did get hurt, so yeah. Only specific people and works over long distances. Alright.
なるほど。
I see, maybe that's
そ
it.
れかもしれない。
Maybe that's it. I wasn't a specialist, so I couldn't say for sure, but maybe you could call it psychic sympathy between siblings? Kunosato might know more, but for whatever reason she had it out for us. And there's no way I'm telling her about Yui.
ユウトにはそういうことはないのかしら。
Does that ever happen to Yuto?
大丈夫。あいつに能力はない。
Don't worry, he doesn't have powers. I already checked yesterday. I'd shown him Yamazoe's Dai Sword and he hadn't reacted. D-Sword? Dai Sword? Hadn't shown it any response at all.
なんだか、私はユウの心配してるのに、ユウの方はそうでもないみたいで。 ちょっと尺だけど。
Feels like I'm worried about you, but he's not worried about me. I like how his name's you. It's like, I feel like I'm worried about you. Me? But he's not worried about me. Is me a name? Maybe next game. Maybe next game they'll have someone named Me. May doesn't work. MEI doesn't work because everyone knows that's May. Maybe we'll find someone that's me. Like MII, like the Me's from the Wii. That kind of makes me mad.
でもいいよね。ユウが狙われることはないんだもんね。
It's a good thing, right? That means he's safe, right?
あ、あ
Yeah,
いつ
he
はターゲット
shouldn't
に
be
さ
a
れないはず
target.
だ。
When Yui heard that, she finally seemed to feel better. Alright, you're the only one of your hair that's in danger. Cruz softly put her hand on Yui's head and rubbed it.
本当にいい子ね、ユイは。
You're a good girl, Yui. Good girl, Yui.
やだ、
It's
や
like
めて
petting
よ。
a dog. Pet the little puppy, Yui. Stop that.
ダメです。
No. Cruz grabbed Yui before she could escape and held her tight. She looked like she was about to kiss her at any second.
ユイ好きよ。大好き。
I like you, Yui. I love you.
のねがなんか気持ち悪い。助けてタクルに。
Nona's being kind of creepy. Help me, Chikura. I couldn't help but
気が済む
smile.
までやらせてやれよ、ユイ。
Let her do it until she tires herself out, Yui. It just can't be helped. Sorry, if she wants to kiss you, just deal with it. I mean, it's no. You know I can't deal with that.
やだ、助けてよ。
Oh, save me. She knows I can't help. She knows we can't help her, right? She does know that. Just when I thought it was safe to leave Yui with Cruz. The three of us froze at the sudden sound of a knock.
まさか、ここ家
No
の
way,
中
we're
だ。
inside our house. It was only 2 knocks. It's not continuing. The knock continued. Maria stood up and positioned herself between Yui and the door. I motioned for her to step back and put my hand on the front knob. Or the doorknob. I remember the terror I'd felt at Cafe Lax and gulped. To be honest, I was afraid. Terrified. But I was the only one who could protect them right now. Hine, what are you doing? Arimura, what the fuck are you doing with that ominous knocking bullshit? Open with, like, everyone you know is terrified of knocks, and you're just like, like, shouldn't your first thing be like, hello, anyone, can I come in? Knock, 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 knock. Not, dun, 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 dun. Like, are you trolling Arimura?
Huh?
She probably is, let's be honest, she's probably trolling. Huh? Suddenly I heard an easygoing voice from the other side of the door.
宮代先輩、ちょっといいっすか？それともクルス先輩となんかまずいことでもしてますか？
Yashiro, can I come in? Are you up to something naughty with Cruz?
ってお前かよ。
It's you.
あ、どうも。
Oh, hey there.
どうもじゃない。紛らわしいからノックすんなよ。
Don't, hey there, me. Don't knock like that.
そういうわけにはいきませんってば。変な場面とか見ちゃったらどうするんです？
I have to knock. What if I walk in on the two of you? What if I walk in on you two in the middle of something? I told you, 100% trolling. She did that on purpose.
僕とクルスで変な場面なんてないからな。で、なんか用か？
Cruz and I are not going to be in the middle of anything. Anyway, what do you want?
あ、はい。ちょっと宮代先輩に話があるんで、いいですかね？
Right. I need to talk to you. Got a second?
僕に？
To me?
ダイニングに来てもらっても。
Can you come to the dining room?
ああ、構わないけど。
Yeah, that's fine.
私
Is she
た
confessing
ち
to
も行っ
us?
た方がいいかしら。
Should we go too? Cruz poked her face out from behind me and asked. Arimura stuck her hands out and shook them in what looked to be a deliberate overreaction.
いえいえ、クルス先輩と立花姉はそのままラブラブしててオッケーっすよ。話って宮代先輩にだけなんで。
Oh, no. You do keep being lovey-dovey. I don't need to talk to me, Ashira.
そう？
Oh, yeah? Arimura said her usual adios, gracias to a confused Cruz and dragged me out of the room. She's secretly in love with us. This is our minute. This is our moment, guys. What's going on?
クルス先輩にはまだちょっとの話なんで。
I don't know if it's something Cruz could hear yet. Oh, yeah, she She knows about the murder, damn. Alright.
とにかく来てください。
Come
見て
with me.
ほしい
I
も
want
の
to show
が
you something.
ああ
Okay. I followed Arimura as she hurried away from Carisa's room.
あ、タク、ゆいちゃんどう？
Oh, Taku, how's your weekend?
うん
I think
もう
she's
大丈
okay
夫だ
now.
と思う
She's calmed
落ち着い
down.
たよ
Alright. Good stuff.
そっか、よかったね。
I see. Good, good. Uki was in the kitchen washing dishes. She looked at us. She let out a small sigh of relief. Even if she hadn't seen her for a long time, Yui was still her friend and she was still worried about her.
ひなちゃん、お茶飲む？ウキちゃんが入れてくれたのはとっても美味しいよ。
You know, want some tea? Uki made it. It's really good.
ああ、いえ。私はそろそろ家に帰ろうと思ってるんで。
I'm just gonna double check. I got the chapter is an achievement. It's called Betrayal. Could betrayal be the fact that Pyromaniac got betrayed by her own ally? I'm thinking that might be the betrayal. They advertised it pretty early on, so like you'd be expecting someone to betray you, right? If you find a chapter titled Betrayal, you're like, who the fuck's betraying me? And then they have someone dead, and you're like, oh, they might have been betrayed. Then again, it might be a double fake, but I'm thinking that Pyromaniac was betrayed by their accomplice. I'm about to go home. Okay. I turned to look at Arimura, surprised. I thought she was staying here because there might be another attack like last night. No, she's gone.
ひなちゃん帰っちゃうの？もっと合宿していこうよ。明日学校お休みだし。
You're leaving? Stay here some more. We've got no school tomorrow.
いやいや、宮代先輩のお父様にこれ以上ご迷惑をおかけするわけには。っていうか、ぶっちゃけこんなに泊まり込むと思ってなかったんで、下着の替えとかピンチでして。
I can't cause any more trouble for me as Shiron's father. To be honest, I wasn't expected to stay this long, so I'm out of clean underwear.
そんな別に遠慮しなくても
You don't need to worry about that stuff.
おっと、ド変態め。限界を突破した下着を遠慮なく見せつけていいと？いや、むしろじっくり見せろと？一宿一般の恩義があろうと、そいつは聞けねえ要求だな。
That one's a bit of a stretch, Arimura. You pervert. You think it's okay for me to show you used underwear or what? Are you demanding I show it to you? I might owe you for letting me stay at the night, but I'm not going that far. That's a bit of a stretch, Arimura. Sorry. Arimura pressed down on the hem of her skirt.
誰がそんなこと要求するかそういう話じゃないだろ
Nobody's demanding anything. That's not what I'm talking about.
じゃあ何ですか？
Then what were you talking about?
だから
Question.
事件が終わったっていう確証が得られるまで有村もここにいないかその方が安全だろ
I thought you were staying here till we were sure it was over, right? It's safer that way.
ああ、なるほど。
I see. Arimura scratched her cheek. Well, we got good news and we got bad news. Then she took on a more serious look.
セリ、ウキ、悪いんだけど、ちょっとだけ外してくれないかな。
Seri, Uki? I'm sorry, can you leave the room for a second? She spoke pointedly to Sarika and Uki. The two of them exchanged glances for a moment, but Arimura wasn't allowing any room for discussion. They left the room.
はあ。
Why did they need to be gone? That's what I'm curious. Once we were alone, Arimura sighed a little and took out her phone out of her pocket.
宮代先輩に話っていうのは、
This is actually what I wanted to talk to you about.
つい今しがた、新庄さんからメールが来まして、私と先輩に大至急確認してほしいことがあるって。
I got a message from Shinjo. He wants the two of us to confirm something for him right away.
新庄さんから
From Shinjo.
すごく嫌なものを送りつけられました。デリカシーがないんでしょうね。
He
大
sent
嫌い
me
です、あ
something
の人。
awful. The man has no tact. I just hate it. Arimura expanded the attached image and looked away from the phone as she handed it to me.
それ、防犯カメラの映像のコピーだそうですよ。
This is a copy of a security camera video, he says. I could see in the video the face of a woman I would never forget.
南沢
So, right? My reaction was the opposite of Arimura's. I couldn't tear my eyes away from it.
間違いないですよね。じゃあ、新庄さんには先輩からそう言っといてください。
You're sure that's her,
あの
right?
人とはもう話したくないから。
Then you tell him, please. I don't want to talk to him anymore. There's another possibility. There is a very low chance, but there is a possibility. It's ridiculously low, but there is a chance that, like, she grabbed someone, kidnapped them, and faked her own death, but... I'm thinking she's actually dead. You don't want to talk to him? Alright, let's go. Yeah, where is this?
どこなんだろう。
Irma seemed annoyed.
その女のマンションとかメールには書いてありましたけど。
The message said it was her condo or something.
マンションを見つけた？じゃあ、南沢千里は逮捕されたのか？
I found her condo, so she was arrested? I finally managed to tear myself away from the screen and look at Armura. She shrugged a little.
ま、似たようなものです。だから私は家に帰っても平気になりました。お世話になりました、先輩。
More or less. It's okay for me to go home now. Thanks for everything, Michiro.
ウキも橘姉ももう安心していいみたいですよ。
Tell Uki and Tachibana, they don't have to worry now.
どういうことだ？
What do you mean?
死にました、その女。
She's dead.
Huh?
That woman's dead. Irma spoke without any real emotion in her voice.
死んだ？南沢千里が？
Namisawa is dead?
ええ。クルス先輩にはうまく伝えてください。私、そういうの苦手なんで。
Yeah, you come up with a way to tell Cruz. I'm terrible at that stuff.
それじゃ、そういうことで、
Anyway,
あとはよろしくです。
that's what's up. Thanks. Bye. I'm assuming it's bye, right? She grabbed the phone from my hand and quickly deleted the photo. Then she bowed and left me alone in the dining room.
セリー、ウキ、話終わったよ。私帰るから、宮代先輩の相手してあげて。寂しがってるよ。
Sorry, Uki, I'm done talking. I'm going home. Keep Michiro company for a while. He's lonely. I could hear her voice from the hallway. I could also hear Sarika, Uki, Karusa, and Yui all talking. They were probably all saying something like, "You're leaving at this hour?" I didn't hear their conversation at all.
南沢千里が
Henry is dead?
死んだ？
Dead? The serial killer who was after us was gone? October 27th, Tuesday. Riko Haida's condo was cut off from the sunlight by the surrounding buildings, making the whole place feel somehow gloomy. Mio Kunosada was standing there, her eyes cold as ever. She'd gone through the wooden shelves and colored boxes on the walls, read every last document and receipt inside, and found nothing.
警察が持っていったものの中には本当に何もなかったんだな。
You sure there's nothing in what the police took, right?
ああ、俺が全部チェックしたんだ。間違いない。
I looked at all of it, I'm sure. Several days had passed since the deaths of the woman they believed to be Senri. The body had long since been taken out for an autopsy. A few pieces of evidence, like the table the body had been found on, had been taken by the police, but Shinjo said the clue she was looking for wasn't among them.
何も出てこない。
There's nothing here. Am I wasting
無
my
駄
time?
足だったのか。
She'd spent 2 hours searching the room. Even she was starting to feel a little concerned, but shook her head to drive the thoughts from her mind. Next, she pulled out the magazines and comics from the shelf and began to check if anything was hidden between the pages.
なあ、
なんだ。
What? Shinjo was leaning up against the wall and watching her, a frown on his face.
この部屋は完全な密室だった。彼女以外誰も出入りした痕跡がなく、凶器の鉄筋も彼女自身が持ち込んだものだ。
This room was completely locked. There's no sign anyone but her ever being here, and she herself brought in the murder weapon, that piece of rebar.
それがどうした？
What of it?
彼女はどうやって死んだんだろうな。
How did
自
she
殺か
die?
他殺かも含めて。
Regardless of it being a murder or suicide.
私は探偵じゃない。密室犯罪のトリックなど知るか。
I'm not a detective. Don't look at me to solve your locked room mysteries for you.
そういう話をしてるわけじゃない。ギガロマニアックスの死に関して君の意見を求めてるんだ。
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm asking for your opinion on the death of a gigalomaniac. Shinjo sounded unhappy as he turned to look at the spot where the burnt body had been found.
ギガロマニアックスは いわゆる超能力者とは違う。他人と妄想を共有することで初めて能力が発現する。
Exactly. This is my issue, and I pointed this out when we first saw it. A gigalomaniac is different than what you typically imagine if you were thinking of a psychic. Their powers only can be used when someone else is there for them to share their delusions with. She can't commit suicide in a sealed room. She can't commit suicide with her powers in a sealed room because someone has to be watching her.
つまりここが誰の目も届かない閉鎖空間だったのなら、南沢千里はただの人間と同じだ。パイロキネシスなど使えるはずがない。
In other words, if this was a sealed space where no one's eyes could see, no matter whose eyes they might be, then Senru Minami Sao was just a normal human. She couldn't use her pyrokinesis.
だがここは閉鎖空間とは違う。例えば窓の外から誰かが覗いていれば妄想の共有など簡単にできる。
This place wasn't sealed at all. That window, for instance, if someone was looking in from over there, it'd be easy to share her delusion.
いや、そこまでは俺も考えたさ。
I thought of that too, of course.
なら何を悩むことがある。
What's the problem?
ここもダメか。
Nothing here either. Kunisada finished checking the bookshelves and looked around the room, uncertain of what to do next. There wasn't a lot of furniture or appliances. The place was rather plain. Closet and desk were the first places she checked. She still hadn't found what she was looking for.
ここに住んでいたのが南沢千里なら、例の委員会につながるヒントくらい出てくると思ったんだが。
If Senru Minabe-sawa really did live here, I was sure I'd find at least some hint of the committee. Committee?
あるいは奴らのことだ。私より先にすでに回収済みということか。
Knowing them, did they get here before I did?
くそ。
Damn it.
だいたい事件の発生から時間が経ちすぎだ。直後にここを調べられたら連中を出し抜けたかもしれないのに。
It's been too many hours since the murder. If I'd been able to look at this place first thing, I might have been able to find something first. She looked over her shoulder and glared at Shinjo. It took effort to stop herself from bitching him out.
上等だ。
Fine.
絶対に突き止め
I'll
て。
find them anyway. Alright, alright. Who's the committee? Kunisada decided to search the whole room once more. All the paperwork inside the messy desk used the name Riko Haida. It was nothing but receipts and utility bills, but there was no sign of a bill for a phone or internet service. She'd had neither, it seemed. There was no sign of even having a landline phone.
確かに。電話がどこにもないな。
That's right, there's no phone anywhere. She looked around the room and found the phone jack, but it was covered in dust and showed no signs of ever being used. The only other things she found among the papers were receipts for food and drink from a convenience store. Senru Minabe-sawa had never cooked. Convenience store food was all she ate.
これじゃあ食費もバカにならなかったろ。
Must have spent a fortune on food, I bet, yeah. Damn, how had she paid for it all? The police were trying their hardest to find out, but there was no sign of a bank book or credit card in the room. They didn't know anything about her bank account either.
金の出所は委員会じゃないのか。せめて口座番号だけでも分かれば尻尾がつかめるもの。
Committee wasn't paying her? If I could at least find her bank account, I could try tracing it.
南沢千里は23日の深夜から24日の未明にかけて宮代君たちの前に姿を現してる。
Senru Minabe-sawa was seen by Miyashiro and his friends between the night of the 23rd and the early morning of the 24th.
そして焼死体となって発見されたのはその24日の夜だ。ということは彼女が死んだのはその間ということになる。
It was the night of the 24th that she was found dead, which means she died sometime after her last sighting. Kunisada had been so lost in thought she hadn't realized Shinjo was talking to her.
あ？なんだ？
What's that?
南沢千里が最後に目撃されてから死体が発見されるまでに20時間ほどあるって話だよ。
I'm saying there were 20 hours between the last time she was seen and when her body was found.
それだけあれば十分だろ。
That's plenty of time.
ところがその20時間の間に何が起こったのか、いやそもそも南沢千里が何をしていたのか足取りが全くつかめないん
Another
だ。
mystery. Oh boy. What happened during those 20 hours or not, even when what Senru Minabe-sawa was doing during that time, we have no clue.
彼女はこのマンションにすら戻ってきていないんだよ。
She hadn't even come back to her condo.
何
What? Kunosada's expression changed for the first time.
24日の防犯カメラに映ってないんだ。
She doesn't show up on the security camera on the 24th, not even once.
そんなバカな話があるか。じゃあどうやってここで死んだんだ？
Impossible. How did she wind up dead in this room?
だからこうして途方に暮れてるんじゃないか。
That's the question.
映像をチェックしたやつの見落としだろう。
The guy who checked the video must have missed it.
俺も確認したよ。
I
見
checked
落
it
としは
myself.
ない。
No mistake. Shinjo closed his eyes and rubbed them. He'd caused himself a good bit of eye strain.
今映像を確認させてるが、どういうことかさっぱりだ。
I'm having someone else check the video right now. I have no idea what this means. Alternative entrances, rooftop entrance, basement entrance, back door, side door entrance, loading bay entrance, first or second floor access. Was there a break-in recently?
わかった。
Fine.
少し考えてみよう。
助かる。
Thanks. He covered his face with his left hand, exhausted.
それも含めて、私はもう少しこの部屋を調査させてもらう。あんたは、南沢千里が、いつどうやってハイダリコという偽の身元を手に入れたのか、情報を入手してくれないか。
I'm gonna look at this room a little more and see if I can't find that out too. Can you find out for me when Senri Minamisawa began using the alias Riko Haida?
もしかすると、それにも委員会が絡んでいるかもしれない。
Committee might be involved in that too.
うん、それはもうやってる。
I'm on it, I'm on it.
あと、この件の警察発表はいつになる予定だ？
And when are the police going public with this?
まだ決まってない。いろいろ揉めてるらしい。
It hasn't been decided. There's some arguing going on about that.
ニュースになれば、もっと南沢千里の情報が集まってくると思うんだがな。
I think if it made the news, we might learn more about Senri Minamisawa.
気持ちはわかるが、そう焦るなよ。
I know how you feel, but don't be in such a hurry. Why?
わかる。私の何がわかると言うんだ。
What do you know about me? Calm down. She glared at him with daggers in her eyes, but Shinjo shrugged and said nothing.
さてと、ちょっと飯でも食ってくる。君はどうする？
Anyway, I'm off to get a bite to eat. What do you want to do?
いらない。
I'm not
勝手
hungry.
にしろ。
Go.
じゃ、そうさせてもらう。
Alright. I'll go. Bye. Shinjo left without trying to invite her a second time. As he opened the door, he paused as if he'd remembered something.
どれだけ調べてくれても構わないが、マンションの管理人が君を疑ってる。本当に警察の関係者かって。所轄に問い合わせでもされたら厄介だから気をつけろよ。
You can look as much as you want, but the building manager is suspicious of you. He's not convinced you're really with the police. If he calls the cops, there'll be trouble. Be careful.
一応、気には留めておく。
I'll keep that in mind, I guess.
一応じゃ困る。怒られるのは俺だ。
Your guess isn't good enough. I'm the one they'll be getting mad at. And then he laughed, but there was no humor in his voice. Is she eating? I'm guessing it's that. Or trying to wake them up. It was after school in the club room and the twilight streamed in through the open windows. Kazuki was in the corner playing ESO and making weird noises. Oh, she's dying a whole bunch. Her battle didn't seem to be going well, and she was making oddly sexy noises. I hope no one outside the room got the wrong idea. Or is it the right idea? I heard a small knock on the door.
ってお前もか。
Wait, is it you?
こそこそ
Don't
覗い
peek,
て
just
ない
come
でさっさ
inside.
と入ってこいって。
大丈夫？お邪魔じゃない？
It's okay, I'm not interrupting.
だから何がお邪魔なんだよ。
Interrupting what? Even Sarika thinks there's something lewd going on.
廊下の向こうまで聞こえてるよ、花ちゃん。
You can hear Hannah all the way down the hall.
今忙しいから話しかけるなってさ。
She says she's busy, don't talk to her now.
たくすごいね。花ちゃん検定があればすぐに1級とか取れるね。
Wow, Chuck, if they give out certifications for understanding Hannah, you'd get one easily. Is that a certification we want? I don't want one. Oh, apparently not.
私のことなんてどうでもいいのねって怒ってるぞ。
She's saying, so what? You don't care about me at all?
違う。私のこと勝手に話題にすんなっ
Oh,
た。
it's stop talking about me behind my back.
すごいすごい。
Amazing. Amazing. Sarika smiled and clapped. For some reason, she was really happy.
あれ、今日なんちゃんは？
Oh, where's Non today?
生徒会。しばらく休んでたから仕事が止まっ
Student
てるらしい。
council. She was out for a while, so she has a lot of work to do. Everyone loves
川
paperwork.
原のやつが来て、今日は新聞部には渡さないとさ。
Kawahara came and said we couldn't have her today. What it is?
おお、これは争奪戦だね。よーし、タク、のんちゃんを奪いに行こう。
So it's war. All right, Taki, let's go steal her back.
え？いや、
No,
いいよ。
that's actually fine. Yeah, we don't want her. I didn't want any more trouble with student council or Kawahara, more specifically.
うわー、久しぶりにダメなタクに戻った。せっかくかっこよかったのに。
Whoa, whoa. You're back to the old loser, Taki. You're so cool for a while, too.
なんだそれ。
What are you talking about?
だってあんな怖い能力を使う人と対決したり、病院の地下へ潜入したり、とにかく事件を追ってるタクはかっこよかったよ。
Facing off with the scary psychic, sneaking into basements? You were really cool when you were following the case, you know?
そうか。
What's I? Bruce got super mad at me and told me not to go chasing after danger, though. But now it all seems like the distant past. Even though it hadn't been a week.
本当に
The
事件
case
は
is
終わった。
really over, right? That night, the 23rd, when there'd been no murder, the rest of the world had started to declare the return of the new generation madness was over. I still hadn't believed it then. I thought that it wasn't over at all. But then the next day I heard shocking news from Shinjo. Senri Minami-sawa, the woman who threatened us so much, was found burnt to death in her condo. Good news for us, I guess. What? Senri was...
うん。僕も有村の映像を確認した。間違いない。
Aimer and I both saw the video. There's no doubt. No doubt about it. She's gone. I'd spent a long time thinking that night. In the end, I had no choice but to tell Carus about her death. When I told her eyes went wide and she looked down silently. Her long hair hid her face and I couldn't see her expression.
なんて言っていいかわからないけど、その
I don't know what to say, but
これで
now?
これで終わったのね。もうタクルやユイを襲うような犯人はいなくなったのね。
So for right, the person who was after you and Yui is gone, right?
だと思うって新庄さん。
That's what Shinjo thinks. It's a good way to get everyone's guard down too.
そう。
I see.
よかった。
Good, good. She raised her head, her eyes a little wet, but she was quietly smiling. You're not dying, I guess. The police hadn't made any announcement about a suspect in the killings being burnt to death. Not only was Senri Minami-sawa a minor, but she may have been driven to the crime by Chaos Child Syndrome, the form of PTSD experienced by young survivors of the Shibuya earthquake. Shinjo said it was an extremely delicate matter, and since the circumstances of her death were so strange, the forensics people were getting nowhere. There was an internal war over how the police should release the information.
あと、これは邪推かもしれないけど。
And I could be wrong about this, but it seemed to me the fact that she was a human test subject at AH Tokyo General might have played a role too. If she became famous, the media and internet might start looking into her past. They might find out about the human experiments. It would make sense if someone who wanted to avoid that was putting pressure on the police.
おい、 宮代
Hey, Michio.
あ、悪い。なんだ
What's up?
あ
Don't do it
れ
again.
どうするよ
What are we doing with that? Ito pointed to the map on the wall.
片付けるかもう使わないかもしれないし
Should we put it away? We might not need it anymore. I stood in front of it again. The map was crammed with all the information we'd gathered so far. It all looked faded, like something that had happened a long time ago.
ああ、そうか。
Oh, right. I found 2 photographs on the map that I'd completely forgotten about. The 6th and 7th incidents in the New Generation Madness, Yummy Hand, and DQN Puzzle. And notes next to them read October 28th and November 4th.
今日って28日なんだよな。
Today's the 28th, huh?
そうだな
Yeah. Ito nodded. He seemed to know what I meant. Then I saw another note I'd stuck up there in my own handwriting. It was one I'd been thinking about ever since I was told about Senri Minamisawa's death. Multiple people, including pyrokinetic. Yep, that'd be my concern. I'm like, is it more than one person?
事件は終わったんだろうか。
Is it really over? Or has
終わ
there
ったって
been a
言ってるぜ
betrayal?
みんな
Or did a 2-man kill team snap? That's what everyone says, it's over.
それにさもし他に犯人がいるなら23日だって南沢千里に代わってそいつが事件を起こしたはずだろ
If there was another killer, they should have done something on the 23rd since Senri Minamisawa didn't, right?
ああ、なるほど。
I see.
けど実際は何も起こらなかったってこ
But
と
nothing
は
happened, which
この
means
可能性は消えたってことじゃないのかな
it's impossible, I think. Ito took the note off the map.
もうやめようぜ
Let's just give up.
なんつうかさ
I think it's hard on the vice president.
副部長が辛いと思うんだ
That's your excuse for giving up?
うんそうだねしんちゃんの言う通りかも
Yeah, she might be right. I would have honestly. What I would say is we keep it until the next murder to be sure. So like on the 29th, if there's no murders, just tear it down and be like, okay, there's nothing else going on. It's a pattern killer, and there was technically a death as close as they could get it. They might be trying to keep it a pattern.
そっか。
I see. I remembered Carusa's sad eyes when I told her what Senri Minamisawa's death.
わかった。こいつの役目はここで終わりにしよう。
Alright, we can be done with this then. I slowly removed the map.
けどなんかいきなり壁がすっきりしちゃったね
And the wall seems kind of plain, doesn't it?
ずっとここにあったからな。
It's been here for so long, yeah, it's kind of weird.
ねえま
Empty
た何
poster.
か
It
事
feels like
件を
there's
探
detail
そうよ
missing, right?
僕みんなをあっと驚かせるような事件
Let's find some other case, Taku. Something that will astonish everybody.
ああ、そのために作った新聞部だもんな。
That's why we formed the newspaper club. Alright, let's do it. Rika smiled again, the same way she always did. And Ito finally started to grin too.
今度は副部長に怒られない程度の事件にしとこうぜ
Yeah, this time, let's get something that won't get the president mad at us.
わ
Or
かっ
vice
てる
president,
よ
I。guess.
今回の件で
I
さ
know,
すがに
I
これ
learned my
だ。
lesson. Even Kazuki turned away from her game and gave me a in agreement. Well, all's well. Game over. The villain killed themselves. The end. That night, I finally went back to the RV. Yui had finally calmed down and stopped being afraid at night. If Dad, Karusa, and Yuta were there, she'd probably be fine. Her old friend Uki was there too. I keep saying
やっ
Yuki, I'm
ぱり
sorry.
ここは落ち着くな。
This place really does calm me down. I sat in the chair and booted up my PC for the first time in a long while. My inbox was overflowing with spam. It was strange. It always used to annoy me, but now it felt like it was proof I returned to my old life.
はい、ご苦労さんと。
Why didn't he just log into his email from his phone? Anyway, of course I deleted them all immediately, but they didn't piss me off like they used to.
さて、
Now then. Come to think of it, I'd forgotten because of everything that happened, but Gen had just sold me the latest edition of Cool Cat Press, and I hadn't touched it at all. Don't do it. No, I took it out from its hiding spot under my desk and started to flip through the pages. It felt like forever since I'd done that too.
1ヶ月目の恋人はどこまで許される？フレンチキス、それともディープキスまで OK？
How much can you get away with in your first month with a girl? French kissing? Or is deep kissing okay? Important information for Takuru to know.
ふーん。
なあ、尾上、お前はどう思ってか、
No, hey, what do you think? I almost fell out of my chair. Sarika was standing behind me, looking over my shoulder.
私としては1ヶ月とかあんまり関係ないと思うんだよね。
I think it doesn't really matter what month it is, you know?
いやいやいや、そんなことよりお前いつの間に
When did you get in here?
ドアの鍵かかってなかったから。
Your door wasn't locked. Oh wait, I don't think we've seen her in this outfit. This is her school outfit, but she took like the jacket off, right? I've been so busy reading, I hadn't noticed Sarika. Crap. How do you not notice someone opening the door?
ノックくらいしろよ。
Don't we just come in and knock at least?
でもノックは嫌かなと思って。
I didn't think you'd like it if I knocked. Yeah, I wouldn't like it if someone just blindly knocked either. Come on.
タク怖がるかなっ
I don't know if I'd scare you. Yeah, our characters had panic attacks over people knocking at doors before. Come on, man. It seems reasonable to adjust that way. She was right. If I heard knocking now, it might be bad for my heart. It might look like an airhead, but the nice thing about Sarika was you could always count on her to remember things like that. Thanks, Sarika. Anyway,
いい
listen.
か
Okay.
繰り返すようだが、この本はいつもゲンさんに押し売りされてるんだ。僕が好んで買ってるわけじゃないからな。そのあたり勘違いするなよ。
Alright, listen, okay? I know I said this before, but this book is something Gen forces me to buy. I'm not buying it because I want to, just remember that. That's right, Gen is forcing me to buy this. I just happened to be opening it, okay? And I just, I had the internet, but instead of doing anything on the internet, I decided to just read this magazine that Gen made me buy. Yeah, I did definitely not keeping every single issue of the magazine in a hidden folder shelf in this RV. Definitely not. I put my Cool Cat Press back under the desk in a very cool manner.
了解。のんちゃんには秘密にしとくね。
I won't tell Non, okay?
こら待て、僕は
Wait,
そういうこと
that's
言って
not
るん
what
じゃ
I
ない
just
から
said. That's not what I just said.
それでタクはどうなの？
So, what about you, Tucky? What is with this angle? It's like
何が
half staring at her chest. Anyway, it's like staring at half of her chest because it's not even at the whole thing. It's like center line onwards. Anyway, they've changed perspectives again. What?
だからキスはどこまで OK？
How much can you get away with when it comes to kissing?
何もしたこともないのに。
I don't know. I've never kissed a girl.
え
Eh? Huh? Sarika suddenly pursed her lips unhappily.
タクってば忘れちゃったの？
Taku, you forgot.
何をだ
Forgot what?
私としたのに。そのファーストキス。
You had it with me, your, first kiss.
何
What? You forgot? I literally leapt out of my chair. I kissed Sarika? What? How? Why? According to Kenji Manami Kata's column in Cool Cat Press, a girl's first kiss was more important to her than losing her virginity. That's why a guy who didn't remember his first kiss was a terrible man, he'd said.
まずい。
crap. I was sweating, unable to remember a thing, but Sarika just laughed.
まあ許してあげるよ。幼稚園の頃の話だし。
I forgive you. It was when we were in preschool.
ってそんな昔の話かよ。びっくりさせんな。
It was that long ago? Don't scare me like that. Holy shit. Anyway, kisses in preschool didn't count. Probably. Probably, right guys? When I told her so, she looked upset again.
それより何しに来たんだ？家に帰ったんじゃないのか？
Anyway, what are you doing here? I thought you were home. Or went home.
そうなんだけど、なんか少し寂しくなっちゃって、タクの顔を見に来たの。
Yeah, but I got a little lonely, so I came to see you. Is it... Are we getting a makeout scene with Sarika then?
は？
I think we skipped over
ほ
that
ら、
part.
最近ずっとみんなで一緒にいたでしょ？もちろん怖い人に狙われたのはすごく嫌だったけど、それも仲間同士で助け合って乗り越えたって感じで。
We've been together all the time lately, right? Of course I don't like it when a scary woman was after us, but we all worked together and overcame it, you know?
こういうこと言うとのんちゃんに怒られると思うから内緒だけど、私結構ドキドキしたよ。
If Non heard me say it, she get mad, so keep it a secret, but I was pretty excited.
そっか。
This is why you're in the newspaper club and Non is in the newspaper club but opposed to the newspaper club doing anything newsworthy. Or at least acquiring anything newsworthy. I see.
タクはどうだった？
What about you?
僕か。
Me? I don't know.
僕は
I'm not sure.
どうだろう。わからないな。
I mean, you're telekinetic, so you can probably save yourself when most people would be in danger. Or get into places people can't. You should
ふーん。
do some more investigating, I mean. Alright, delusion. Delusion. One of her buttons flies off. A button on her blouse comes undone. I'm surprised he hasn't tried that, but I guess he's not lewd. He's not lewd like Shinji Ito. She suddenly leaned over right on top of me and reached a hand towards my computer. The sensation on my back was soft and warm. I didn't know how to react whenever she did something like this.
おい、重いからどけって。
You're heavy, get off.
重くないよ。
I'm not heavy. You're so rude.
失礼だな、君は。
Her white fingers gripped the mouse and she started to move it around.
部室でも言ったけど、私また新しい事件を探したいな。あ、これなんかどう？
Oh, I know I said in the club room, but I want a new case to research. What about this? Rika opened a site for explorers of abandoned buildings, a popular genre. Most of the articles were about people going to abandoned villages, factories, and mines. Bankrupted, empty amusement parks, and department stores were also popular. They'd write essays and upload photos. Some sites would write about bloody urban legends involving the abandoned buildings, or upload photographs with ghosts in them.
こういうのはやり尽くされてるしな。あと背景の侵入って非合法だから、学校の部活でやるのは無理だと思う。
Stuff's all been done. Also, going into abandoned buildings is illegal. I don't think we could do it as a school club.
つまんないの。
Oh, that sucks. What about underground hospitals? Underground in a hospital. What about that? Under basements of hospitals? Maybe? Sarika moved away from me and then lay down on the RV's bed. She yawned loudly.
ほら、そこで寝るなよ。
Hey, don't sleep there. I turned around, but her eyelids were already closed. Nobody falls asleep that fast. I quickly stood up and shook her shoulders.
おい、
Hey, if you're
眠
sleeping,
いん
go
な
home
ら帰
and
って寝
sleep.
ろよ。
今日は泊まってくからいい。
I'm staying over tonight. It's fine.
何
Fine.
言ってんだ。僕の寝る場所がなくなるだろ。
What are you talking about? Where am I supposed to sleep?
大丈夫。私小さいからベッドで一緒に寝られるよ。
It's fine. I'm tiny. We can sleep together.
そんなわけいくか。
Ken, no? Ken, too. What are you saying to Kuru? What are you saying to Kuru? Are you gay? Are you gay to Kuru? Come on, man. That was an invitation. I can't believe this absolute Papega just like threw that out the window. Like, okay. Let's go through the scenario again. Girl comes over to your house uninvited. She sees you reading magazines about making out with people and starts asking questions about what you think is reasonable for making out with someone. Then she flirts with you a little bit and she's like resting on your back. And then she crawls into your bed and is like, oh, I'm gonna sleep here tonight. Is that cool? And you're like, oh, well, where am I sleeping? And she's like, oh, just crawl into bed with me. And you're like, we can't do that. That would be wrong. Like, this is a man that's just like, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I need to become a real wizard. I gotta keep my virginity till I'm 30. I can't even touch a woman. If I do that, all my powers will fade. I'll lose my telekinesis. It'll be awful. Yeah, this guy only knows that grind. Just as I grabbed her by the arm and tried to lift her up.
Oh.
A phone call? Huh? My phone started to vibrate in my backpack. It kept going, so it probably wasn't an email or a text, but a phone call. I had no choice but to leave Sarika on the bed while I went to answer it.
Mm.
I looked at the screen and saw the call was from Ito.
今頃なんだろう。新しい事件のネタでも見つけたの
Now what? Did he find a new case for us? I answered the phone.
もしもし、
Hello?
どうした伊藤
What's up, Ito?
アットちゃん見たか？
Did you see Tuchan? Oh, or say he called it Atachan. His voice was tense and
ア
anxious.
ットチャンネル
At channel?
とにかく見てみろ。ニュージェネ関連のスレならどこでもいい。
Look, any of the new generation threads is fine.
なんだよ一体
What's going on? There's another murder, right? I walked over to my PC confused and opened at channel. Or 2chan, whatever you want to call it. I decided to start by opening the news board. Good plan. There were quite a few threads about the original and current new generation madness incidents.
Huh?
Oh. I couldn't believe my eyes. The page was filled with the names Senri Minami Sawa and Riko Haida. I could see the words burnt to death here and there too.
警察が犯人を公表したのか
Did police go public with her name?
違う。読んでみるとわかるが、どっかから情報が漏れたらしい。
You can tell if you read it, but the information seemed to leak from somewhere.
情報が漏れた
Leak? I opened up a thread and saw that yes, the police were still remaining silent. There was the picture Ari Murr and I had seen of her on the security camera, and a photo of her when she was a student. That is the photo they used that also has Curtis and what's his face, the vice president of the student council. Oh look, the number for Alba Clinic. Oh shit. I like how they put X's in the numbers so people wouldn't call the number at random to see if there was a clue in there for a minigame. Nice job, nice job. Actually, removing the numbers instead of leaving them, even though the rest of this is pretty legit. Alright. There was a picture, let's see, there's a cute girl in the photo with Senri is totally my type. If nothing else, it looks like she was helping Minami Sawa hide, even if she didn't kill anyone herself, that's still betting. Ooh. Looks like she came from a religious orphanage. The people in the photo 248 were her friends there. Looks like they're doing this together. Hmm. And a photo of her when she was a student. Alright. There's a ton of weird information on Senri with no source given. Some of it said...
おい、なんだよこれ
見つけたか？
Did you find it?
くそ、情報弱者どもがろくに確かめもしないで何適当なこと書き込んでんだ
Fucking wrong siders, man. Fucking wrong siders. They're posting crap without bothering to check to see if it's right. I was angry because I saw Kurusu and Kawahara's names mixed in with information on Senri Minami Sawa. The first idiot who posted was probably an old classmate of theirs. The three of them were friends and always together. That information had nothing to do with the case. What are they thinking? Irresponsible comments that came after were even worse. Another thread said Minami Sawa once lived in Alba dorm. Kurusu visited her every day in her condo. That shit's crazy. There were even a few more on saying Kurusu was an accomplice to the murders because she'd helped Senri Minami Sawa stay hidden, and the police were coming to arrest her. This is probably why her phone number had shown up on an interview site.
ふざけるなよ。
God damn it. When I saw that Carissa's graduation photo was uploaded along with Sentry's, I slammed my fist down onto the desk.
試験がやっと終わったっていうのに、何なんだよこれ。
Actually, I'm kind of surprised. Someone leaked it. Probably could. The obvious answer is Kunosato did. It might not have been Kunosato, though. I don't want to blame her, but it's obvious that she might have done it, because she has, like, a strong motive and barely gives a fuck about anyone else's opinion. That said, the killers might have leaked it to try and get news circulating, because it's the 28th.
どうしたのタク？
What's going on, Taku? Shurika jumped up when she heard me yell.
切るぞ伊藤。クルスに電話してみる。
I'm hanging up. Ito, I'll call Cruz.
いや、俺も電話してみたがダメだった。副部長は電源を切ってる。
I tried, but it didn't work. She turned off her phone. I hit my computer's power button and quickly headed for the door.
わかった。直接青バリを行ってみる。
Fine, I'll go to Albador myself.
ああ、俺も行く。向こうで落ち合おう。
I'll go there too. See you there. There's probably people. There might be like 1 or 2 people there. Ito hung up as well.
尾上、悪いがちょっと留守番しててくれ。
What? What? Why does Onoe need to stay here? Does she not know who Carus is? Is she not allowed to know about internet harassment? Is it like too inappropriate? You're like, sorry, someone's getting harassed on the internet. I can't have you here. You'll be a target. Come on, man.
やだよ。のんちゃんに何かあったんでしょ？私も連れてって。
Oh, no, something happened with Non, right? Take me too. Nuka followed after me as I ran out the door. I didn't have a choice, so the two of us ran towards the door. There were already several strange vans parked outside the door when we got there. Some people were already wandering around outside with video cameras.
すごいね。もう来てんのか。
Mainstream media? Here already? Ask room. Remember, this is our character who never shares information, so he'd never say something like unethical experiments done after or before the, he'd never comment on, like, the unethical experiments, the fact they didn't meet it. He'd just be like, ah, fuck them, they're wrong, and leave. Setting records straight is not a thing this guy likes to do. Because he always wants to feel superior to people. As I got close to Alba Dorm, I could feel several sets of eyes on me. Can I talk to you? Do you two live here? Several men who appeared to be reporters started to surround us.
はい。何がですか？
Sorry, what?
だからここに住んでる子？
Do you live here? I said.
違います。すみません。通してください。
No, please let me through.
じゃあ友達かな？クルスノノって子知ってる？
Are you a friend? Do you know a girl named Nono Cruz?
知りません。
No, I don't know anything. I decided to lie. If I told them I knew Cruz, I figured I wouldn't be able to take another step.
それじゃあさ、南沢千里っていう名前に心当たりはないかな？
Does the name Senri Minawisawa mean anything to you?
ネットで見なかった。例の猟奇殺人の犯人らしいんだけどね。
Did you see it on the internet? She's supposedly a serial killer.
だからほんと知らないです。僕たち青葉院に薬をもらいに来ただけですから。
I really don't know anything. We came to Alba Clinic to get some medicine. Then I grabbed Sarika's hand and started to run. I shook off the hands that tried to grab at me and rang the bell for Alba Clinic, not Alba Dorm. I could hear several frustrated noises behind me. Maybe it was just because the police hadn't yet made their announcement yet, but even the media didn't seem to want to step on the clinic's property. It would probably be considered trespassing. Soon I heard someone on the other side of the door.
僕だよ。尾上もいる。
It's me. Onoe is here too. I whispered and the door opened. I slid inside and the door was quickly closed again.
よ、おかえり。
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. It's Dad, and we're in the clinic's front room. Dad was standing in front of the front lobby, chuckling.
こんばんは、佐久間先生。なんか大変ですね。
Good evening, Dr. Sakuma. It seems things are getting really rough.
まあな、こんなのは初めてだから、どうしていいのやら。
Yeah, it's never happened before. I'm not sure what to do. Dad scratched the back of his head.
クルスはどうしてる？
What's Cruz doing?
意外と言っちゃかわいそうだが、割と塞ぎ込んでる。あいつにしては珍しい。
It would be kind of mean to say I find this surprising, but she's pretty depressed. That's quite rare for her. I figured Carissa was like any other girl. She was either scared or depressed after what happened. But it hurt to hear the strong-willed girl like her was down. And again, not doing the defending yourself. I guess, yeah, fine. It's like interviewing with media is pretty stressful, and they'll easily trip you up and make you look bad. But if you can write down what you're gonna say and be like, okay, I want to know the questions 5 minutes ahead of hand so I can prepare this and not look like an idiot, you might be able to get away with it. But yeah. Her to hear that strong-willed girl like her was down.
早く言ってやれ。タクルたちの顔を見れば少しは元気になるだろう。
Go see her. It'll probably cheer her up a bit.
はい。
Okay. Rika and I ran up the stairs to the door. And there's Chris. Now getting harassed for being potentially an accomplice of a serial killer or the best friend of a serial killer. Not a great look. Pretty stressful. And apparently she's not taking it well. How bad is it? Well, we're gonna have to find out next time.